Dig into some of you guys' insecurities and open you up to where we can sprinkle, as E40 would say, sprinkle some game into your system so that we can start generating more revenue, increasing our business sales, increasing the overall success of our sales, and having impact. So I want to get into this. It's going to be fun. It's going to be inquisitive. I encourage you guys to really, if you want to get the most out of today's class, to participate, dig in, give it your best work. Because how you give it your best work, you're practicing excellence. So just another reminder, I want to remind you guys next week, all those who are able, please come and join the class in person. It's going to be a good, fun class, and it's part of the what Nana had talked about last week. So we want to get this class interactive and filled up. So please come. As always, we'll have food and snacks and drinks and stuff in the back. Before I get started, a couple of things I want to go over. It's just sometimes little questions that I get during the week and conversations I have with people from class, from things we discussed that may be useful and helpful in our discussion today. And they asked me about credibility. So they were tying being of service with credibility. And so I thought it'd be interesting because the way we discussed it, I thought it'd be helpful in the class. So when you think in terms of the word credibility, what is that? When you hear the word credibility, what does that mean to you? Credibility. Is this mic on?
Well, I'll say it out.
There it is. There it is.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
I would say trust or social capital is another word that I think of.
Yes. So go ahead, pass it. Anything else? Trust. You guys, definition of credibility is trust. So there's actually 4 different types of credibility. 4. And we as humans are always using all 4 of the different types of credibility at all times. At all times. If you are a business owner or entrepreneur or up and coming entrepreneur, you got to know clearly what these 4 types of credibility are, and you got to be using them constantly to your advantage, and minimum know they exist so that you know how to maneuver around them. And as a marketer, you execute on them. So first type of credibility is presumed credibility. So if you got opportunity to take some notes, write it down. Presumed credibility is type number 1. Presumed credibility mostly comes from stereotypes and generalizations. Stereotypes and generalizations. So as an entrepreneur and a marketer, you cannot ignore those opportunities for presumed credibility. So when people say black people are, Asian people are, Mexicans are, Now, those are generalizations, and they don't necessarily have to be true. And a lot of times they're not true. Sometimes they are, but know they exist. Presumed credibility. So, it's for, and generalizations. So, say 15, 20 years ago, maybe more, if you were an American that traveled out overseas to go on vacation to a lot of countries, say some were third world countries, how would they treat you? Royalty. What? They don't even know you. Because it's presumed credibility. You're American. America comes with a stereotype and a generalization. So it's presumed. You come from America, we're going to treat you like royalty, even though you black. Right? There's weight when it comes to presumed credibility because it will supersede a lot of the local prejudices that you may have. Second type of credibility is surface credibility. Surface credibility. So if I show up in a doctor's coat and a stethoscope around my neck, that's surface credibility. I'm a doctor. So you already start giving me the same. A lot of times people mentally go into that same bucket of giving a person credibility based on what they see. That's why that fake it till you make it shit is so big. That's why the posturing is so big, because a lot of the posturing works. That shit works. If I got a Rolex watch on in the club and I got a 24 karat gold chain, 3 of them around my neck, and I got a Mercedes-Benz keys, not in my pocket, but hanging out my pocket just so y'all can see, with a Gucci this and a Gucci that and a Louis Vuitton this and Louis Vuitton that, will I walk out of there with some phone numbers? Hell yeah. Because a lot of people are hooked and triggered by surface credibility. It is what it is. No way of getting around it, no way of running from it. That's where priming comes from. That's where you prime as a marketer. Third is reputed credibility. Reputed credibility means, hey, Charlize, is Shakina a good trainer? Charlize said, man, I was like 40 pounds bigger than I was before I met Shakina, and now I'm rocking with Shakina and she got me tight, snatched up. What? I haven't even met Shakina yet. But because I respect and trust Charlize, you good to go. Take my money. I haven't even spoken to you yet. Presumed credibility. That's where referrals and word of mouth marketing is huge in your business. And the last one is earned credibility. That's the shit that's the long road. That means every day, my credibility, I'm investing in my credibility by being solid to you every day, over time, for years. So as business owners and entrepreneurs, we should always be working on all 4 types in our business. Give a shit how I came. You made all that money because you was wearing a fake doctor's outfit. I don't give a fuck. You see what I'm saying? Always work. That has zero to do with being of service. But it's a whole element that you need to concentrate on and focus on as part of your marketing strategy? Who do you have at your front desk? How are they dressed? How do they greet? Because that anything facing a customer is starting a credibility meter at that moment. 3 years ago, when I backed away from the retail stores, one day I walked into the gym to go check, and they had hired like some new hires, and bruh never met me. So I walked up to the desk, and he was like this. And I stood there. I just want to see how long he would do it. And I'm thinking, I know when bruh sees me, he's going to be like, oh, shit. So he go like this. Bruh. And so he didn't say, how can I help you? I didn't even speak to him. I turned around and I walked away. Who'd you hire? Hell no. Get him the fuck up out of here. Get him up out of there. Because if that's what's touching my customers, that's horrible.
We don't want no devils in the house.
Yes,
We
Lord.
want the love.
Here we go. All right. So let's rock. Let's keep going. Hey, was that helpful? Good? All right, let's keep going. Next slide. How can I be of service to you? I know y'all, it was the energy shifted in the room last time we talked about last week. And we're going to keep digging in because we're going to make y'all excellent experts at this. We're going to continue to talk, and we're going to go deeper into this next week. But what I want to touch on today is I want to ask you guys a question. What is the opposite in your mind of being of service? What's the opposite?
Individualism.
Individualism. Okay. Opposite of being of service is individualism for Kaja.
Like selfish or self-focused.
Self-focused, selfish. Anybody else? Any other options?
Hello. Y'all can hear me now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. Over-serving.
You say over-serving.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
I'm echoing that. I was thinking enslavement, like outside of serving, you're enslaved to someone.
Okay. So I just want you guys to think about this week, or just the conversation from now until next week, that if you think about the opposites of being of service, and those are negative terms, right? Individualism, being selfish, over-serving, then where do you think the sweet spot is? I'll say it again.
I don't necessarily think those are negative terms.
You don't think there's in business, you don't think those are negative terms?
I think it's all contextual. You would have to have your individual house in order to be of service. Or there is a time, to Shakina's point, to be serving of self in order to be serving of others. So I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing.
So I love this. So you don't think it's a bad thing for individualism in business?
In the right context, no, I don't.
Great. Does anybody agree with her? Keep that shit 100. Keep it 100. Does anybody in here agree with her?
It's not that I'm in agreement or disagreement, but from experience, I feel like individualism creates a lot of blind spots that end up causing a lot of problems when you get focused on self-serving when you're running a business. So in my personal life, I could understand that statement having some weight because, like, in my household, if I don't get any sleep, nothing gets done. Or if I don't, take care of myself or exercise, I end up in a hospital, like nobody does anything. So on a personal side, I can see that having some weight in proper context. But on a business side, my brain goes to, if I act in a self-serving way, I'm not only alienating myself from my customers, but my staff and my potential clients because I'm focused on what I want to get out of it.
Great. So the reason why I'm teeing this up for next week is because I want to get these pieces kind of out of the way, ironed out, so that we can get into it next week. So the context of being of service includes taking care of yourself. So in the context of being of service, in order for you to serve at the highest level consistently, don't you think that it's necessary for you to be at the highest level individually? So we're going to get that out the way now, in the crowd, online, and here, that being of service also includes you being at a level where you can serve at your highest capacity. Do you feel me? So I think fear will make you look for ways to separate. Fear will make you look for ways. It's like lightning. Lightning is looking for ground to get out. Let me get out. Let me get out of there. So the minute somebody says the word service, fear says, because it's a trigger word, I'm hooked. It makes me feel bad. Makes me feel like a slave. The intelligent mind will start looking for outs. Oh, well, it don't mean I got to do this for myself then. But don't that mean? Because if you're super intelligent, you'll come up with 3 or 4 excellent articulatable ways to exit your way up out of that shit. But understand this. Leadership is the highest form of service. A kingdom that you live in is the highest form of service. A city, a state, a country that you live in is the highest form of service. If me and Nana figured out a way to get a bag, hey, we just, shit transformed and we end up living on the same block. Oh, shit is bad. We eating. And we like, damn, how much money we got together between the two? Look, let's go off somewhere and just isolate ourselves and eat good. Me, you, your wife, mine, our kids, put a fence, a moat around our shit and just live like kings forever. Rest of our life. Right? That's an option. It takes service to say, nah. There's no fucking way we need to be doing that. We got more than enough capacity to serve ourselves and our community. Let's do that. That feels good. That feels good. You know what? You sacrifice your Wednesday nights and I will mine. We'll invest our Wednesday nights into the community. Because we ain't free until when others are oppressed. So let's do that. That's service. If we doing bad, I ain't got no fucking Wednesday night to give. I gotta get my shit together. I ain't got no Wednesday night. I need that Wednesday night. I need it. My money is bad. My life is fucked up. I need that Wednesday night. No, Because if he didn't play the game at the level that he played it, he ain't thinking about no Wednesday night, no giving, no entrepreneurial class. That's the highest level service comes from the highest level of performance. And you getting calls. Nah, I need your help, dog. I need some advice. I need some advice once a day, maybe more. If he ain't already clocking in bread, that's able for him to take care of himself, his family, his friend, all that, then he can't take them calls. Yo, I don't know who you think you're talking to, but I got shit. My shit bad. Scarcity reduces the IQ, which reduces your capacity, which completely compresses your ability to serve. So the ones who have no capacity to serve.
Say it again. Just say it one more time. In that same order. That's a beautiful order.
Shit. I'm flowing. I don't even remember.
Scarcity reduces your capacity, which reduces your IQ, which reduces your ability to serve.
Scarcity reduces your capacity, which reduces your IQ, which reduces your ability to serve. So for those who get real tight when it comes to service, you're basically letting everyone know where you are in life. And it's a canary in your own cave because you right. Fuck that, sir. Get it together. Get it together. Let's get it together. But understand what the goal is. Cool? We digging this, we digging in. We digging in. It's like a root canal. Getting all the fucking drilling in all the fucking black and gray area. Get them out. Any questions on that? Any questions on that? Thank you, Kaja. I love the.
Yeah, thank you, Kaja.
I appreciate that. So the disrupt your routine. We talked about that last week too. What time? That is an interesting dichotomy. So always know that there's levels to this shit. The levels to the shit means you have to be religious about things at times to get yourself into a position where you can succeed and get a rhythm. Routines and rhythms are for data points and research and tweaking and adjusting. You need rhythms in life. You cannot grow, you cannot improve without rhythms because you don't know, you don't have any reference from when you did it before. So it's important for you to establish rhythms and routines in your life at a certain level. And it's imperative. And you know what's funny about it? It's hard as fuck to do. It's hella hard to do. At a certain time, do this every day. Well, I'm reading every day. I read every day. I read every day. Read every day. So when you hear, hey, I know a brother who reads an hour a day, read 20 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day, whatever. How long you been doing that? For years, right? I've been reading every day for years, since 2007. I read something every morning. But guess what? Last year, I didn't read for 6 months. You know why? Because I clogged my brain up with so much shit. I needed 6 months to process. And I thought it was, I got to read more. I got to read better. I got to read different. I got to read more books. I got to expand my books. During the pandemic, I was like, I got to keep reading. Something's going on. I got to read more. Maybe it's a different book. And it wasn't until I was like, no, disrupt your routine, bro. Stop. Just sit there and allow your brain to process the books because it was almost a backup mentally. And I had to go against my routine to get to a better place. Now I was like, okay, I'm ready now. Back on these books, back on these audio books, because that's how the next level works. Go ahead.
I was just gonna ask, when you decide to disrupt your routine, is it because your routine becomes stagnant in its noise or it's not effective? When do you decide to disrupt it and why?
When your routine becomes ineffective, routines come from beliefs. So routines are repetitive actions. Actions come from beliefs. So if I say, this is my workout routine, I'm going to hit this workout routine. I see results. Every year, year after year, I see results. But for 6 months, I flatlined. Am I going to keep banging my head against that same routine? Some of us will, because it was so hard to get to that routine in the first place. And it takes a G at the next level that realize, ooh, shit, I got to not work out like this no more. Let me flip it around. Let me try something different. Let me do some research. Remember, it all boils back down to beliefs. And beliefs and rules only work as long as they're working for you. As long as they're working for you. Beliefs work as long as they're working for you. Remember that. All the shit that I'm up here saying, it works if it's working for you. So if you got receipts to show different, because here's the deal. We're real predictable creatures, right? We're predictable animals. We are predictable animals. That's why movies and books and all sorts of things can create characters to a T in a movie, because we're predictable characters. However, we're also unique characters. There may be one thing in each of us that's different, and 99.9 things that's the same. And that one thing, if you know yourself, you may not need to rock that way. It's the truth. No, I don't. Well, have you tried the coconut water diet? You got to try it. Try the coconut water diet. It's helped me lose 20 pounds. Look, here's my before, here's my after. I'm allergic to coconuts. I can't fuck with you. I can't. Much as I want to. Face will fucking blow up. I'm out. That's why know yourself. When the routine's working, work it. When it gets stagnant, be observant enough and not tied super hard into the idea of it was so hard to get here that the next level says you're willing to change it. You've already done the hard work and been able to create the routine. You've done the hard work. Next slide. Let's go next slide. Any questions about the routine stuff? Routines are imperative. They are imperative. There's as an entrepreneur, it is imperative that you get into routines. Routines allow you to realize the factory of you, the machine of you, the manufacturing facility of you. I was fortunate enough to spend some time in tech when I was younger, and I seen how processes and production works and how machines work. And most of the quality of a machine or the quality of output of the machine all boils down to the amount of data that you have. And you cannot recognize your patterns. You cannot observe your patterns if you ain't got no patterns. That's just the real. They hated me. They hated me there. Because, Court, you got to document what you did. You got to write. You fixed it. You got to write down what you did. Man, I ain't got time to write down no shit. But how are they going to know how to do it the next time? She said, call me. or they say, where's your book? Like, you don't reference any books? I'm like, I feel the equipment. I feel it.
Bruh.
They're like, we can't teach that shit. We can't replicate it. Because the more data you have on yourself. It's just the truth. If you like, man, every time I get into a negotiation with X type of person, I lose. That's the most valuable information you can have. Guess why? Because you can preempt that the next time. You can prepare different the next time. Hey, can you come with me on that negotiation coming up? I haven't figured it out yet, but I ain't losing this one. Come with me, please. Even if you observe your weaknesses and you can't fix them yet, you have data points about yourself.
Are routines and rules interchangeable, or is there like an interplay between the two?
Routines are and rules are brother and sister. You need rules for routines. You need routines for rules. And both are breakable when they no longer serve you in those moments. So rules are heuristics, right? Rules of thumb. My alarm goes off at 6, I'm up, right? My alarm goes off at 6, I'm up. Meditate from 6 to 6:45. I give myself 15 minutes, give or take, depending on if I catch the Holy Ghost or not. But if I don't, I go read. Then after I read for 20 minutes, I hit the gym. I hit the gym for an hour, come home, shower, smash down to the hill and go make it to that 10 o'clock meet. That's my rule, right? That's the rule. That's my routine. So they're mixed in. Now, if I want to have a rhythm, the rule part has to be flexible. What's my goal? Work out, read, meditate every day. So if I wake up, alarm goes off 6, my daughter's crying. Shit, go over there, she's wheezing. Put her on the machine. Fucking my routine. Okay, go ahead. Take the little machine, breathe, a little liquid in there, hurry up the fucking liquid, get up out of there. But now it's 6:40. Do I run down to meditate because that's my rule? No. I find another way, like water, right? Those things have to happen, that is my heuristic. However, the end state goal is to get those 4 things done today. Okay, fuck it. I'm gonna get her dressed. She's good. She can go to school now. Boom. Smash her off to school. It's 8 o'clock. I'm gonna go to the gym and get that workout. It's 9. Then I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna let everybody know I'm gonna be late for this 10 o'clock meeting. I'll be there at 10:45, 11 o'clock. Go downstairs, meditate, read my book. So rules are almost like bumpers in bowling. You set them up, and in best case scenario, that's how you operate. But they're not so rigid that you're like an ant. Have you ever flicked the ant in their line where they have their line? You flick the ant and they don't know what to do. A lot of us, because we went to school, we got degrees, went to college, and we have this strict life set up for us that we've got A's for following the rules so well that when shit happens outside of your rules, you don't know what the fuck to do. Oh, shit. Somebody help me. Somebody put me back in line. So it is a rule of thumb. But you go back to your end goals. Today, I need to hit the gym. I I need to read. I need to meditate. I need to do all those things for me to have the most productive day. And my thing is 5 days a week, but I got the weekends for any fuck ups. Got 2 days. So I got no gym today. Oh, well, I guess Saturday I'm gonna be working out. So you set the game up for yourself to win. You don't get prizes for following the rules good. You get prizes for the results.
Shizzle, my nizzle.
That was almost a deserved smack in the face. I needed to hear that. What was my question? That last point was hella good. Thank you for that. Sometimes we need reminders. So when you have a data point about yourself that you frame as negative, but I shouldn't say but, and you want to figure out how to reframe it so that you can either make it work for you or figure out a different approach. What do you do? Or how do you approach that? Because you get data points from redundancy, repetitiveness. So if you're noticing a behavior or way that you approach things or situations that you don't see as a positive or that you don't see as working for you and you want to change it, how do you approach that?
Michael Jordan, do we agree? One of the best basketball players in the world? Yes, unanimous yes. So when he came into the league, amazing, high flyer, acrobatic, will to win, confidence, ball handling, super high jumper, score, right? It took them a few years to realize he didn't have a jumper. He couldn't shoot from the three-point line. So when you have a weakness and you know it, and say you're in the middle of the season, you mask that motherfucker. You put your strengths so far ahead, and you don't put yourself in situations where you even have to use that. You pass to Steve Kerr. You pass to somebody with the jumper. You pass to Paxson. And then in the summertime, because the word is out, the scouting reports are out now. Jordan don't have a jumper. So now all the coaches know, all right, back up off Jordan, back up off him. All that acrobatic shit, we shut it down. Guess what he did all summer? Worked on his jumper like crazy. So then next year, all the scouting reports, everybody backed off him. Guess what he did? He torched their ass from the three-point line that season. So now they're like, oh shit, we got to recover. So they went back guarding him tight. Then he was going to the hole and getting beat the hell up, knocked to the ground. Knocked to the ground, knocked to the ground. Every time, knocked to the ground. Then the scouting reports went out. Jordan, weak. He can do all that shit, but he weak. Be physical with him and you can overpower him. Right? Guess what he did that summer? Got stronger, hit the weights, put on like, what was it, 15 pounds, 20 pounds? So now he's bumping chest with people in the air, making a layup. Bumping shoulders in the air with people, making a layup. So they're like, we don't know what the fuck to do. And they say, Jordan, do you got any weaknesses? He's like, hell yeah, I do, but y'all don't know them, and I'm not going to tell you. And the minute you find out, I'm going to go work on it. So I say all that to say is, you may not have a Paxson to pass to in the moment, but you lean to your strengths, and you're always working on it. You like that is your opportunity to work on it, and then in the opportunities that you can, you backfill it. You backfill it.
How do you backfill a space if it's okay? So you know how there's like different levels of shit you got to work on. You've got like your emergency stuff, you've got like your important stuff, you've got your stuff like it would be good to do, and you got your stuff you could just work on later. So if it's in those top two quadrants and it's not really something you can, I don't want to say afford to push back later, but if it could cause more harm than good to not work on them, or you don't have the ability to backfill, or then what?
You got quadrants, I don't. So that's how you set it up. You set it up in quadrants.
Mm-hmm.
But some people don't set it up in quadrants. Every fucking thing is critical. Everything. If you can see it and you're aware of it and it's no longer a blind spot, we're going to talk about it later. Remember the Johari window?
Mm-hmm.
The biggest amount of gold you can have is to be able to pull a weakness from your blind spot and look at it. We entrepreneurs here, we wolves. We wolves. The smallest amount of things can be detrimental to our business. So there's no like, I'll get to that one. I'll get to this is the one. We don't know what's detrimental to us. We don't, because the one you think is detrimental may not be, and the one you think is a little, it could be a butterfly effect that can fuck you up. So anything that's outside of your blind spot that you are aware of, shit. Like, I'm coming. I'm coming for your ass. I'm coming. We don't got the luxury. As entrepreneurs, we don't know how much money we losing right now. How many millions have you lost because of those? All the ones in all those quadrants, how many millions have you lost? I'll get to that later. I'll get to that one.
Shit.
I'm just keeping that shit 100. I'm just keeping it 100.
I'm just here so I won't get fined.
That's so good.
All right, next slide. So this is the juicy one. Disconnect your emotions from your beliefs. Does that mean that you don't get emotional? No. No. Does that mean that you can even disconnect emotions from those beliefs? No. But what this means is when you can separate yourself and look at your options based on your optionality, and you can pick the best option in the moment, that's how you disconnect. Because how you feel, what you feel you should do is not all the time, and most of the time is different than what you should do, what the best move is. A lot of us move on our feelings. I don't like that. They don't know my worth. No, they don't know my worth. Understand, as an entrepreneur and a business person, you have to look at your options and always make the best decisions. And this one's critical. This one's critical. This one's critical. Somebody walks into your store or walks into your place of business. Is there somebody who can serve me? Sheesh. Look, like, I've been doing customer service for a long time. Like, I can give you some tips on how you could be better customer service. I'm the customer here. Now, what are your options in that moment? Get the fuck out of my store. You know what your ego tells us? You're not my customer. This is not my customer. You may not be my customer.
Oh my God.
You don't know my value. You disrespected me. Get out of like. There's so many regular emotions that process through, but you are a business. Understand, we don't have the luxury of training every human to come in our store. There's going to be different personality types, different backgrounds, different trauma, different everything. If you're fortunate enough to have more than your share of customers, that means you're going to have more of your share of personality types. All the cool kids ain't going to come buy from you. It's the truth. So how do you handle all personality types? How do you handle it? Some people do the take the top off the hot sauce move, right? And keep stealing the hot sauce. I'm gonna take the tops off so nobody puts them in their bag. Solved it. Like, how do you handle it? Like, you have to be able to position yourself as a business person to make every customer feel good. It is not an easy job. Every customer has to walk out of your store feeling good. Do you know how exceptional that is? That all cultures can walk into a high-end luxury store and get a similar experience. All customers can walk into a Dave & Buster's, get a similar experience from all different nationalities, different types, speak English, don't speak English, different cultures. When they can patron a business from all cultures and get a similar feel and experience, that's what makes a business a successful one that has a lot of gold in it. Y'all, we got to get out of that shit of like, well, if you can't show up how I need you to show up, then this ain't it. Because that goes back to independence and being of service. And the way we do it is we got to disconnect. We can say the shit in our head, all of it. We can say it in our head, but what is the best move? And you press your button on the best move. Question.
Why don't you share a short experience and maybe you can tell me if it was, actually I don't think it was handled right, but maybe you could point out a different way of how I could have approached it. So I've had my gym for 8 years now. And I had a customer come in, it was a walk-in, a potential customer come in, and he was like, hey, I wanted to ask you about your services for personal training and your pricing. So it's like, says all the services we have on the window. And so I said, oh, the easiest way for me to show you that is to show you our member price sheet. We have like a huge A board. So I showed it to him, and he says, are these prices negotiable for personal training? And I was like, unfortunately, they're not negotiable. These are our set prices. But we do offer a lot of other complimentary services to meet your training needs if this is out of your price point. And the moment I felt like I handled it well, I do try when it comes to my business to be in a space of servitude, like my whole business is based on service. But then in hindsight, I was like, what could have been a different way that I could have flipped that to reframe it so that the customer would have been happy, because his rebuttal to that was, well, I could just have somebody come to my house and train me if your prices aren't negotiable. And in my head, my conversation was, it's a value thing and our prices are market level, so like we can't undervalue. But also too, we offer in-home training, so if you're interested in that. And he was just like, no, I just want your prices to be flexible. Was that a reframe issue that I should have handled from a customer service perspective? Or was that just one of those rare things? Because I've never had someone ask me, are my prices negotiable for business? And so I'm just curious if that could have been different.
This is what I will say, because I don't know full context, right? I don't know the full context. Bruh could have been trying to get at you. Who knows? And he just was trying to spark up conversation. Bullshit. But what I will say is the best way to get people in those places is questions. You led with a statement. Find out what you're looking for. How often do you want to work out? When do you want to work out? What's your budget? What's this? What's that? How about this? Well, when do you work? When's your best day? How long you been working? How much experience you got working out? Have you been to the gym before? Then you gather data on him. He can be like, I was just trying to get at you. Exactly, motherfucker. Bye. Right? It's questions. It's questions. It's questions. I want to know. It's curiosity mode. Because we don't got to defend anything. We don't got to defend our rules. Because all our rules that we have, these are placeholders. They ain't real. We made them up. If he was like, are they negotiable? Yeah. Well, are they negotiable? Are these prices negotiable? Why would you, what do you have in mind? What are you thinking? Like, what are you looking for? Well, I was thinking of buying like 5 years in advance. Can you give me a discount on that? You mean write me the check right now? Yeah. Yeah, they're negotiable. You see what I'm saying? Questions. So there are rules. We have rules, but they're heuristics. They're placeholders. They keep all of us in line. We're herd animals. Understand this. We're herd animals. We like rules. We need rules for us to feel good. We need rules. It calms us down because we know what's happening left and right. We know what a red light means, yellow, green. You don't pull up and now it's a purple light and people will run mad. We like rules. We need rules. Absolutely need rules. But understand the interchangeableness of rules. And you as a business person, those are there to hold space for 85 to 90% of the people there. And for the 15%, let's talk shit. What you talking about? See what you talking about. Am I willing to bend or change or break my rule for you? Let's see. Let's see.
I mean, you know the rules of the game.
Oh, that was fire. That was fire. Hey. I feel a type of way right now. let's go to the next slide. All right. The evolution of you. Evolution of you. So this is the Michael Jordan shit we was talking about. You got to be the Michael Jordan of your story. This ain't a story about perfection or being the greatest X in your story. It's the journey of how you got there. How many weaknesses, how many deficiencies did you start with? And where are you now? Are there people who knew you 5 years ago and haven't seen you in 5 years and still think you a completely different person than you was? There's people who still call me by my rap name if they see me.
Oh my God.
Bro, what? Man, I ain't seen you in that long? No, we won't go there. But do you understand? You gotta evolve. Charlize, don't say shit. You gotta evolve. You gotta evolve as a person, as a business person, as a mother, as a father, as a brother, as a man, as a woman. You gotta be evolving. The 2022 version of you should be dried up and raggedy compared to who you are now. Has to be. Because there's so much to learn. Especially us. That's why we do the daily reading. Because we know that we are in a complete deficit of knowledge. So that's why we scramble. Because we know how much we don't know. There's so much we don't know. So damn, I'm behind. I didn't get the context. I didn't have the degrees. I don't have. So I gotta get at this. Your goal is to be a completely different person, to be an evolved version of you. How do you get there? How do you do it? Because the basis of liminal thinking is evolution. Because the beauty of evolution in the context of liminal thinking gives you so much perspective. Because you can see different versions of you in people today and have empathy for those versions. Somebody comes up and says, I'm like, oh man, that's 2003. That's 2003. What was I doing? Oh shit. Oh, so I'm like, so this is happening, this happening, this happening. Oh, how'd you know? Because I have a similar pattern. It allows you to help people and help yourself. When you evolve and you have empathy, it makes you a great teacher. Great teacher. Great leader. Great boss. Great employer. Because that allows you to see versions in how people interact. Man, everything just keep going wrong. It points a time. You know when they said it will point to a time where you used to say that. Damn, so what was, okay, oh, I remember that. But this shit keeps happening. It's not my fault. Oh, okay. So now, what were my steps to get out of that space? Well, here's try this. Try this. So this is imperative. We are black folks. We're few generations to slavery. Understand that. So going to a college is not it. We need way more. And that's personal evolution, emotional evolution, spiritual evolution, physical evolution, mental evolution. All five. All five. That's why it seems so challenging sometimes in this class, because we like, you got to work out. You got to read. You got to listen to these podcasts. You got to take some action. You got to surround yourself with like-minded people. Because you tap into all five pillars, all five. And it's hard because you're changing. And you're like, what's going on? You're getting challenged. But it's imperative. You got to. Because it goes back to what we were talking about, Shakina. All the things you need to change. Evolution is you changing them. Because a wolf says, what do I lose? What will I lose if I don't change this? What would I lose? Shit, damn it, I can see. Oh, shit. I'll be way off. It seems like a little thing. I have to do that with my shadows sometimes. I'm a wild boy. And I'm like, fuck. I gotta not do that. Fuck.
We don't want no devils in the house.
Yes,
We
Lord.
want the Lord.
That's funny. Hey, it's the truth. What movie is that from?
Kanye West.
Oh, that's what's up. Oh, yeah, evolution. One more time. All right, next slide.
You can, whoa, hello there. You can test beliefs even if you don't believe they are true. All you need is to act as if they were true and see what happens. If you find something that works, do more of it.
Now this is next level shit. This ain't level 1 shit. Level 1 is so tied to our beliefs. We're so emotionally tied to our beliefs. We think that if we're emotionally connected, those are the right ways, right? Next level says, yep, I like that one, but I'm gonna put that one over here because there's 4 more, and I'm gonna try all of them because I'm not sure. And I'm not emotionally attached to any of these because I want the best. I want the best. I want the best. Go ahead. I want the best.
All right, I'm not even about to try to sound smart or put together. This is just raw. I feel like the smart side of my brain is like, shut up, like, don't look stupid. But I'm just like, this is just, I feel like too many of us don't say what we feel because we're afraid of looking stupid. And the emotional side of me, like, put the business Shakina in a box and let me out. And I'm just like, blood, sometimes I don't want, like, if I'm in my logical brain, yes, I want the best option. I want to have all the different steps to solve the Rubik's Cube. I want to have all the things. But in the moment, I don't give a fuck about none of that because I feel endangered and I feel like this is not in my interest. And in post-mortem, I will usually get back to my logical side and I'll be like, you know what? Yeah, emotional Shakina needs to go sit in the corner and logical Shakina needs to come back and take control of the ship before we hit this iceberg. But in the moments when I'm not thinking, like, the separation between system 1 and 2, I'm like, yo, fuck this shit. Like, I don't want to hear none of that when my emotions are in charge. And it's really hard from an emotional intelligence space. Yes, I can say that I know the difference between what I should and shouldn't do, or what was the best step and what was the step that I took. But in the moment of knowing, like, yeah, don't attach your emotions to your beliefs, real talk, how the hell do you do that when you're in the heat of the moment? Because it just sounds so simple, and it, in charged moments, it doesn't seem to be that way whatsoever. And oftentimes I find myself doing postmortems to fix things as opposed to, and I feel like you're going to be like, stimulus and response, practice. And I'm not saying that like in a shady way. Because my brain is already going and trying to problem solve it, right? Like, but I'm just
Hey, I guess I'll be a guest that you're hella good at solving the problem and fixing it after the fuck up, right? Because you got experience doing it, right? Because you do it all the time, right? So you're almost better after fuck ups than you are before fuck ups. So I'm not gonna say stimulus response, right? Because you said it, but this is what I will say. Two things. That feels good. Shit. Let it out. Deep breath. Second thing. Can it wait 24 hours? Can I call you tomorrow? Can I do this tomorrow? Let me get some time. Hey, let me call you back. When you feel your emotions get up here, in any kind of decision making, any kind, know that you're clouded and know that you're in danger. Once you start saying, oh shit, I'm in danger, that's your knob. Turn it off. You know what? I can't even make a good decision right now. Let me call you back. I'll call you tomorrow. Let me call you in 15 minutes. Let me call you in 20 minutes. Fake some shit. Hey, this is my daughter's school. Let me call you back. Fake some shit. Take that deep breath. You know who's excellent at that? He is. Because sometimes if I tell a story and the story is captivating enough, you'll see his brain, his eyeballs spin in his eyes and be like, I want to love this shit, but fuck that shit. So, and another human comes out. I know he does. Because, you know why? Because the price you pay for those decisions can cost you your business. It can cost you everything. All the shit you worked for, is at the mercy of today's emotion. All the hard work, the 8 years you put into your business, and they're at the mercy of today's emotion. You really are comfortable with that? Your daughter's future, your future, what you're building, you're cool with that? That's the speech somebody gave me when I got in a fight in the middle of Courtsmith.
King Kong ain't got shit on me.
I'm 4 years in the Courtsmith. I don't think nobody knows who the fuck I am and what I'm doing. I'm at my son's AAU game, and it get nasty in there, and I'm protecting my son because I'm right. So I go in there, I'm throwing kids, adults, teachers, coaches, everybody. And you know, and ain't you Courtsmith? Oh shit. See what I'm saying? So you have to ask yourself the question, is it worth it? Is it worth it? That's it. And what are you willing to give up in order to fix it? Is it worth it?
Noted and.
Noted and. No.
Said, well,
is it worth it?
No. I put that on my splatboard and I got
Okay.
that. That is there. It's not going nowhere. I'm gonna probably tat that on my arm or something because I need to look at that a lot right now. Something you had said earlier about maybe 5 minutes ago, you were saying, what are you giving up? Which made me recall a conversation that I had earlier this week about what am I winning? So it's like it made me put my head into the space of like decisions are based on loss and receive or gains and losses. How do you frame or shape the way you make decisions based on gains and losses, or is there a different way of looking at it?
Well, first thing is I'm not gonna run from rap. I'm not gonna run from where we was at, because that's the meat. That's the meat of it for all of us. That's the meat. Because gains and losses go back to worth and value. It absolutely does. So when you are in a situation where you say, this feels good for me to be in this emotional space, like fuck anything else, this feels right for me. You have to ask yourself, wait, danger, danger, danger. I'm exposed. I could make a wrong choice. Is it worth it for me? Time out. Let me call you back, because value and worth, it all comes down to optionality again. Because if you can look at something clearly on a paper and really break it down with first principles thinking and second order thinking. Run a thought experiment with it. Okay, if I did this, then what would happen? Then what would happen? Then what would happen? Till you get to the end. Sometimes you realize where you thought you was winning, you was losing. Where you thought you was losing, you was winning. Where you thought you was winning big, you broke even. All kind of shit. But it takes a person to really sit back and look at your options and run the experiment. And anytime you don't do it, you're rolling the dice. And your job as an entrepreneur is not to be right, because you can't anyway. 60, 70% of the time you're going to be wrong. You're betting on that 30%. Every time I go to Vegas, I play craps. I have a strategy. And I've tweaked my strategy over the years. And I'm religious with it. I don't bend. I don't break. No matter how excited I get, no matter how much I won, no matter what the crowd is doing, I stick to my script. I don't drink anyway, so I'm not getting drunk. I'm looking at the numbers and I'm playing probabilities, and I want the highest probability every time.
That's the word right there. There's no gains and losses. You're always playing probability.
You're just playing probability.
Because you can, even if you do everything right, you can still have a loss because it's all about probability.
So you're not trying to be right. You're trying to increase the probabilities in your favor. That's it. That's it. And if you just blindly just going with your emotions, you're rolling the dice with your business. And we don't want to do that. You work too hard and too long, and you put too much into it to just play the dice. I have this building that I want. Independent building. It's by itself. It's just perfect. I drive by it every morning on the way to school, on the way to work, just to see if it's still there. Has its own gate, automatic gate, the whole shit. I get into a negotiation with him. I'm emotional. We toured it. Oh man, we can put something here, and we can put there, and then a Quartzmith sign can go right there, and we can put video games right there. I already had the whole vision. Motherfucker sent me that contract. It was like 9 things that's like a no. Man, fuck this building. If you can't change these 9 things, I don't want it. Not that I want it. I don't even want it. I don't want it. I'll wait. I'm cool. Something better's gonna come. Next opportunity, I'm gonna be ready for it. And it may be something even better comes along. Shit. Because I'm not gonna jeopardize. I'm not gonna jeopardize on an emotional decision. For months, I drove past it. I'm gonna put rocks right here and black. The Quartzmith sign. I can put it actually on the outside of the building now. All the shit, man. Bruh, this ain't cool. This ain't it. Cause why? We got too much at stake. We make enough mistakes on the 70 anyway. You know what I'm saying? We make enough mistakes on the 70. Now you want to go on the 30 that you know and make those two? Hell no. I'm the 30 that I know, I'm meticulously calculating best decision. Boom.
How do you identify when you're in the 30 or the 70?
The 70 you don't even know. It's a blind spot. 70 is a blind spot. What happened? I don't know.
So you're saying, okay, like you've had several buildings. So you're saying like, you know what you're supposed to do or look for, how contracts should look. So that's like within your 30% of things that you know. So that wouldn't fall in the 70, or what do you mean?
If somebody walks into your gym and says, hey, can I get personal training for $20? Bruh. Is that in your 30 or in your 70? That's in your 30. You know.
Okay.
You know, man, come on. Now, I can sit here and try to mouthpiece my way up to get you to see my value and negotiate, but certain things you know. what you don't know is in your blind spot. That's you think you're doing the right thing.
But you're implying that we know we don't know more than we know. That's what you're implying, right?
Absolutely. We don't know more than we know. So that's why it's important to hit this next slide and read what that next slide is.
True intelligence is having options.
So we got to reframe what we even call intelligence. Because when you say my intelligent brain, the definition of intelligence is options. Options. That's why dominologists are good, because they got options. I don't even know why I pointed over there.
Come on, man. Hey, man. You preaching today, man. You keep preaching.
I mean, you know the rules of the game.
No, I give Miss props. It's all about options and playing them in your head before you play them on the board.
But do you not feel like when you're in your like intellectual brain, your brain is naturally looking for the road with most options? Like if you're emotional, you're usually very one-track minded. But if you're in a space where you're like, let me think about this, you're usually in a space where you're trying to figure out what are all the options.
Not all the time. Not all the time. Not all the time. Question for you: have you ever been in a bad relationship? Toxic, fucked up, the wrong person, right? So that second one was perfect, right? That second relationship, you hit a home run. No? Okay. That third one, man, he was a hitter. He was like Prince Charming, right? No? Because the more intelligent you are, the more you can justify and intellectualize your fucked up decisions. Kaja's highly intelligent.
Hella intelligent.
Hella intelligence. But high intelligence can also be the worst thing that can happen to you in terms of growth.
Yeah.
Because you could justify any position. You can be on any side of any argument and sound like a winner. That's true intelligence. That's why true intelligence is having options. Because if I said, Kaja, give me an argument for pro-abortion. Now give me one against abortion. They both would be highly intelligent and highly influential.
She could. I believe she could. If she
I know she could. Not that you want to. Go ahead. She has a question.
Thank you for saying that, and for bringing it up. I have felt the same way, and I felt like it's a business strategy, right? In a business situation, sometimes very quickly you need to be able to, whether you believe it or not, you need to be able to make the case for one thing versus another. You need to be able to go down one path or another. So I actually, I felt like that was a strength working for me because I could flip it very easily.
Yeah.
But that's why the feedback for you is so important.
Yeah.
Because you can get lost in the whirlwind between the two yous. Mm-hmm. So if you don't have somebody to give you feedback, you can become Hitler and you can become Gandhi in the same person.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So it's just like the Marvel movies we watched where the good guy turns into the bad guy, but we watched his story so we understand. At that moment, Joker. He turned into a villain. At that moment, why? What happened? Well, he was abused, so it's I understand. Because high intelligence, super smart people can hop on any side of a position. That's why at that point, if you don't have liminal thinking, you're at the mercy of your emotions. You're at the mercy of your emotion if you're super smart without liminal thinking. I'm gonna let that sit.
That's fire.
Can I get a amen?
That's fire. Lesser smart people who are less smarter than you can perform better than you if you don't have liminal thinking, because they don't have all the options. If they just stood next to a person who showed them the way that worked for them and they followed it, how come they winning it? I know I'm better than them. That's why. That's why. Well, I don't want to do, the dieting stuff, like I got a way that I want to lose weight, and it's this way, because science says this, and actually the atoms in the body go this way, not that way. So you're not there yet. You're still not. You could justify any position, because you're at mercy of your emotions. Does it work? Does it not work? Is it working for you? Is it not working for you? But the goal is to have options. Have as many options as you need and pick the best one. Pick the best one. Next slide. So, the end of liminal thinking. I say this was an incredible book. If you haven't got all the nuggets out of the book, read it again. Listen to it again. Because these are the things that can help you change. First one.
Beliefs create a shared world.
All beliefs they just help you share the world. That's it. That's all. They just help you share the world. And nothing else. If I lived on an island by myself, I wouldn't need beliefs. I just live. But once another human interacts, then we have to create beliefs so that we can be in rhythm and sync with each other. Next one.
Changing your beliefs changes your world.
You understand how? The minute you change your beliefs, your world changes. Next one.
Self-sealing logic.
Who knows what self-sealing logic is?
I have a belief that the sky is blue. You say, actually, Shabisha, the sky is red. I say, okay, the sky is purple, because I've distorted what I believe so that I don't totally go on the side to say it's red like you, but I don't totally leave my position either. So I'm taking in that information with the intent not to really take it in. I want to not move too far from what I already think.
Can't nobody budge me. Yep. Next one.
Governing beliefs are tied to personal identity.
Those are down deep down there. And those are hard to change. But know that they exist. Your governing beliefs are tied to your personal identity. So so that's why when somebody says, be of service, you think, I am not a slave.
Wakanda forever!
That's why, because that is tied, that's a governing belief that's down there, and it's tied to your identity. Next one.
You are not objective.
We're not objective. That's why we need perspectives and people and laying things out on the table and deep breaths and time to look at things objectively and options. Next one.
Empty your cup.
Empty that shit. You are only as successful as what's in your cup right now. If you want more, you got to empty what you got to put in different. Next one.
Johari window.
We talked about the Johari window. Use that. Make that your friend. Next one.
Triangulate.
Triangulate. So you're looking at things from different angles. That gives you your options. In that conversation with bruh, that gives you your options. And the next one is how.
Ask questions.
Ask questions. That gives you the perspective. What if I turn? What would happen if I did this? What would happen if I did this? What about this? What about this? Ask questions. The biggest inventions came from triangulations. Everybody is using this for this, but what if I put it here? Just invented something. Last one.
Change beliefs by telling stories.
Change. So as a marketer, as a marketer and as an entrepreneur, you tell the stories and you help change beliefs. There's a saying that if you tell a story if you tell a story to create a belief, if you don't tell a story to create a belief, people will create the story about the belief for you. Mm-hmm. So you control the narrative by giving the narrative. All right. Any questions? Stand by for a brief intermission. All right.
You like that one?
What's the best music is silence? Hey, he's killing it tonight. So, hey, my hats are off to Scott. He's on fire. He's on fire.
Right on.
Yeah, that was tight, bro. That was real tight. Did we ever talk about how you can get at the governing beliefs? Court, did you ever talk about how to get at the governing beliefs?
Well, how to get at?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
We could do it some more, though.
Sure.
About the governing beliefs, I was thinking that reminded me of a governing belief you have that we talked about in the last class about the lotion.
About lotion? What did I say about lotion?
You remember this example, right? Jasadi, go offer him some lotion.
What?
See?
He can't pass
governing beliefs will not allow you to take that lotion.
No, wait a minute, hold on, freeze.
We had this whole talk last time. We had this discussion around governing beliefs.
No.
And I just wanted to remind you. I was just curious, had you know. Are you ready to release that belief?
For those that you don't, let me explain to you, Jasadi is like my little brother. But men don't hardly, I don't even remember the last time I've been anywhere with men. They're like, yo, you want some lotion? Bruh. It's about to end all kind of relationships. I told you my gender pronoun is macho, and so I go to the other extreme. Got me fucked up. Anyway,
I mean, you know the rules of the game.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, your bitch just chose me.
Right on.
So, okay, so check this out. A lot of governing beliefs, in order for you to tap them, you can't feel them. You can't feel your governing beliefs. You can't feel them. They rise when you get close to the margins, but you don't feel them. They're so low in your, they're the most powerful of your beliefs, but they're so low in your beliefs, you don't wake up in the morning and be like, oh, I feel my governing beliefs today. You just don't. One of the times you will have access to your governing beliefs when you ask yourself these deep philosophical type questions. Why am I here? What does life mean? Where was I before I was born? Where was I before after I die? Why is there no beginning, no end? When you're sitting on top of a mountain, you're looking at a big, or you're sitting like in space and you're looking down, or you're in a plane, you're looking down, you have a tendency to tap into those governing beliefs. Governing beliefs are often, they're like the ball of the root that all these branches are growing from. But you, in your brain, you're always recognizing the leaves and the branches. Sometimes you don't even see the trunk. Governing beliefs is so deep. And this is why, if you ever talk to business people who are performing high, they tell you, stop using the word business. It's really philosophy. Governing beliefs, when you meet a philosopher, they're always shifting and analyzing governing beliefs. But when you meet people who are not philosophical, two, you need silence to tap into governing beliefs. If you're always busy and you got one thing after another thing, your governing beliefs are running you, you're not running them. You gotta create absolute silence. What they said, it's like, I heard today somebody said, I'm gonna give you a podcast I listened to before I give it to you guys. And one of the things the lady said was, jazz, because it has no words, there's two things about jazz. Jazz is a chance for you to put a comfortable relationship with silence. Because when you listen to words and the music's playing, you just you're distracted from yourself. But when you have jazz, anybody knows that really listens to jazz, you kind of drift into a different space, right? And then you start saying, well, but why? It's almost like governing beliefs at the final why. You say, why did I do that? But why? But why? But why? And when you get to that last why, you're tapping into the governing beliefs. And very few people go to that last why. So I think everything you taught today was, beliefs is not, do not think beliefs are mechanical. Like you can just change them and flip them and they're just easy and just, okay, I'm gonna just, I forgot that when you could just flip like if you get a certain type of device and you got to flip the device in certain notches for the device a certain kind of way, which you direct the way the device works, you can't flip your emotions just like that. Because even with beliefs, some of your beliefs don't have alternatives. There's no alternatives. I don't know how to have a belief of something I never seen, did, or come from. So beliefs are not something you can just go, I'm gonna swap them out. Because even sometimes when you're swapping them with the known knowns, which means you're just interchanging a different variation of yourself. So it's hard. It's a constant, don't look at it as a destination. That's the key word. It's a constant changing process. And you got to practice healthy belief engineering practices that allow you to constantly tweak and adjust so your rules, your routines, and your structures can become properly updated. Otherwise, this is what's hard for human beings. It's hard for us to change because we want to believe who we were when we were 18, 30, 40, and 60 is the same person. We don't realize we're in constant motion of movement and change and evolution. And if somebody was able to take a snapshot of you today and put a snapshot of you 5 years ago, y'all wouldn't even like each other. But your brain doesn't do that. And so you're in this invisible changing process because as you're adjusting to everything, and you're also disconnected from your beliefs. So quite often, even when you think you control your life, you really operate on a set of beliefs that are actually foreign to you because you never tapped into your own beliefs. So even when you think you're standing on a foundation that you're serious about, you haven't ever asked yourself, but why does it matter? So beliefs it's not easy. It's not something that, oh yeah, just do this and you should just do that. Even a question you ask about emotions and beliefs, it takes time. You got to practice every chance you get. How do I control my emotions? How do I control my emotions? How do I control my emotions? It ain't just a class. It ain't a conversation. It ain't a book. It ain't I went to a meditation mindfulness practice last week. I know more mindful people go off for you faster than people who are not mindful. It's just it's just one of those things. So, all right, let's jump into this. Shabir, you ready? because I got so much to talk about next week. We're gonna me and Court gonna team up and the Avengers gonna come back together one more time and work on this shit. And so we're not saying Batman and Robin because neither one's gonna be Robin. So, but if Josiah's up here, I might say Robin. But go ahead. Got it. Go ahead.
There is no system that can prepare us for all risks.
Okay, so that's simple. Pause that for a minute. There is no system that can prepare us for all risk. Okay, they don't force me to tell this goddamn story. I was going to tell the story, but I'm going to tell it as fast as I can. I was asked recently, I'm going to try to remove all titles and companies, but somebody who's high up in corporate America that makes over $200,000 a year. I say they make over $250,000 a year. They make over $250,000 a year. And him and his wife has been in nonprofits, and she's been on the upper end of the profits of nonprofits. And they asked me to work with them in the initiation of their business. And I learned a lesson. By the way, you can see I got my wolf shirt on today for a reason. Because I learned that a wolf cannot consult a dog. I know that sounds like shitty. I'm not lying. Let me tell you where I'm going to go somewhere that you guys would not expect. So they called me up and told me they had this idea for something they want to do that they thought black people could benefit from greatly. But black people don't really do that, right? I'm trying to remove titles and definitions because I do love these folks. So they're on the phone with me, husband and wife. So as they talking to me about what they want to do, it's a great feat for the community, but I don't see a profit line. I don't see if they do this, they'll be successful, right? So I said, well, based upon your idea and the friction challenge of getting black people to invest in this idea, it really should be a nonprofit. And then if you're able to spin off some opportunities, you could turn into a for-profit and let the for-profit service those opportunities that spin off from this nonprofit venture. Plus, nonprofits, based upon the way you're moving, could be a hell of a retirement plan if you grow it properly, if this idea takes off. First response from the dog. Well, I should probably, with nonprofits, it's very sticky when you create a nonprofit. And at the end of the day, and two, there's so many rules. So I'm going to talk to my lawyer first, and I'll let you know. Then she said, but by the way, we're working on a website. And we thought, since you're in marketing, you can give us some insight on our website. I said, what would be my insights? I said, have you sold anything? No. Have you made any money? No. Have you had anybody brought into it? No. I said, then what I would suggest is don't do a website. Don't do anything. Go test your idea and build a minimal viable product. But to them, you know what they heard? Hey, baby, you know what? Fuck all that shit, man. Cut some corners, fuck them angles, man. Fuck that, break the rules. Who gives a fuck? That's what they heard. Right? Because what their brain was saying, the way to success is check all the boxes and follow all the rules. See, the dog knows if it does its tricks and doesn't tear up your couch and don't shit on your favorite leather jacket, it's getting meals tonight. Right? The wolf knows if he does that same shit in the woods, he just like a goddamn fool performing. What I'm talking is I'm out in the wild. When I pull them in the wild, they're like, well, what time is mealtime? I'm getting a little dirty. Where do we take our showers at? This is unacceptable to me. And I'm sitting there, no, we gotta run, dog. There ain't nothing here. We're looking for food because there's no food going to be delivered to us. They're waiting for somebody to bring them food. We're saying, no, we got to go find our food. Oh, by the way, there's hunters out here too. Oh, by the way, there's competition that's trying to eat too. Oh, by the way, Muffin's been eating all week long, so it might not be enough left where we plan on going, so we may have to discover a new place. The language break between the two of us, they saw me as almost as if you were trying to buy a engagement ring for somebody and somebody ran up to you like, yo, I got a ring for you right here. That's the energy they were transferring to me. So they get off the phone with me and I say, look, this is your basic practice. Set up numerous examples of what you plan on doing. And then let's develop a data list to extract so you can get information. Because I say, because at the end of the day, if people haven't been doing this, this is a marketing language. Here's a powerful question. If people have not been doing this all this time, the first question you want to ask yourself is, let's make a list of why they have not done it so far. Make a list. If you make that list, that's your strategy on building your business right there. I said, number 2, as you go out there, you'll get a chance to do qualitative data. Ask questions. How come? What do you think? Test ideas. Once you build a minimum viable product, if you want to raise money, if you want to invest money, if you want to create a nonprofit, whatever you want to do, now you have a pathway to sell to others. This is a week and a half ago. They called me back. Now that we're excited, talked to somebody from the foundation. This person who has a big foundation told me, keep our LLC. I said, why did you make an LLC? You didn't make no money. You just spent $8 and you ain't made no money.
Bruh.
So, you understand me? And so, they say, we're going to keep our LLC, then create a nonprofit and let the foundations raise money because we're going to keep our LLC so we can protect our IP, intellectual properties.
Bruh.
You don't have intellectual properties when you first start a business. I don't give a fuck how brilliant your idea is. You watch too much television. You think you started from a thought to the fit from the beginning to the end. Anybody who has built anything in the wild tells you it starts off here, but it shifts based upon discovery. And it may be way, you may have started on the east, and by the time you finish, you way in the west. West, north at that. Right? But to start building all these safety nets and structures and lawyers and insurances and registrations and all this stuff, you ain't sold one product. Can you guys kind of feel how the corporate world, that's how they move? How you moved? How you've been rewarded all this time by following every damn rule? There is no system. You can't go get a business license. You can't go get an LLC. You can't go talk to a lawyer. You can't go work on a website to avoid the risk of business. The best way to start all this shit, you tinker. And the tinkering will reward you with knowledge and information that will allow you to build what the fuck you want to build. That's simple. You tinker. You go play, you try something, and you go, let me try this, and it doesn't work. Let me try this, and you finally get it to work. And then you get it to work, and you go, okay, I'm not that good at it. Let me try it again. Okay, this is how it works better. Let me try it this way. Okay, it works even better this way, right? Now you actually have a product. But if you go in there right away going, I got this idea in my head, me and Course in the room by ourselves, and we got this idea, that's narcissism. That's what you guys believe. It ain't got shit to do with what y'all want. In order to align with what y'all want, this is the first thing you got to know in business. You got to do everything you do in business. This is to the Budweiser who used the trans woman on their can. The first thing you always have to say in business is, I don't know. I don't know. The trans woman in Budweiser, you guys heard about that? Where there's a trans woman who came on and say, Budweiser put my face on the can, which they did, celebrating 135 days of being a woman. And this is during Women's Month. And they put her face on the can. They lost 30%. Their stocks dropped by 30%. And they had 70% drop in sales over since that campaign came out. Now, this is not really about trans. It's really not about the trans or the woman or any of those type of things. That stuff is, because that's I don't like that language. What this is really about is reading the market you're serving. I have zero problems with the trans community, and there's products that you can directly point at them and they will do well, especially with the market that is in alignment with them. Have you guys seen the people drink Budweiser? Have you ever? I mean, I'm just saying. Do you? I mean, like, no offense, but like, okay, all my gay friends are high class friends. They eat the finest foods and they enjoy the finest part of culture. If I was to ever go to one of their house at a party we're having and I brought a 6-pack a bud. Them cats would be like, yo, bruh, right? But what happened was the woman who did this, which we'll get into this next week because I don't want to get too far into this, she was a very strong social justice leader, and she wanted to bring more diversity to Bud. Right? Now, she could have did, if she did this different, which is just did her market research, tested the market, tinkered, she could have discovered the answer before the money was spent. By the way, those numbers we pulled together, the estimate cost of that is $4 billion. I didn't say $40. $4 billion. Listen here, I take 1% just to give them advice. Yeah. So there's no system to prepare for all risks. So when you start your businesses, just know all of us are trying to move in this game with being risk-free. In the words of Judge Joe Brown, freedom is not safe. Keep going.
Factors of chance introduce a level of complexity that is not entirely predictable, but being able to draw on a repertoire of mental models can help us minimize risk by understanding the forces that are at play. Likely consequences don't have to be a mystery.
So in our culture, we have a lot of sayings and a lot of spiritual comments because we lack principles. Principles allows you to see the outcome of something you don't understand. It's like, so for example, I noticed how when Court was speaking earlier, I feel like there's an underlying, I feel like there's a elephant in the room where it's like, what if we don't know? What is it we don't know, right? What principles do is they allow you to move in spaces you don't know. Because here's the fact about business. You don't know. I don't care what business you're running, you don't know. Let's say Kaj is killing it right now. She's making good money. In 5 years, this will be a new market. She won't know them. In 10 years, she's an OG. She don't know them. In 20 years, she really don't fucking know them. How do you move in the world? Let's say she expand her product from Oakland. Let's say, where were you originally from? New York? So, okay, let's say she's in New York right now. And she knows her borough, and she's cool with everybody in her borough. And she decides to move her product to Oakland. She don't know them, right? What allows you to move in this world and build smart processes and procedures and how to process those moves and those tactics is mental models. Next slide.
Not having the ability to shift perspective by applying knowledge from multiple disciplines makes us vulnerable.
Okay. I have two ways to approach this one. First thing we say, make it simple. If you're going to be in business, you have to be multidisciplinary in your learning. You don't learn one discipline. You learn multiple disciplines. You try to learn everything you can. Like when our first retreat, that was our conversation about talking to everybody. Find out what you don't see, what you don't hear, what you don't know. Always taking time to learn. But even in this class, if you're sitting in this class and you're hearing messages, but it's not sparking curiosity to go read other books, you're failing yourself. You have to learn how to like some things. When you're looking at problems, you know, here's a saying that's cold. I was gonna write this down for next week. Sometimes when we look at a problem, the problem is not the problem. The problem is how we think about the problem. Let me say this again. Sometimes when you're looking at a problem, the problem is not the problem. The problem is how you think about the problem. Meaning that there's many problems have complexities that don't fit in any neat discipline. So the reason you have to learn multiple disciplines, because sometimes the problem needs you to step further back and triangulate the problem and realize, oh, it's not actually the problem, it's maybe different dimensions to why we're having a problem. Guys get that? Any questions so far? Keep going.
Mistakes can become catastrophes whose effects keep compounding, creating stress and limiting our choices.
That 70% you talked about earlier. If that shit compounds, it gets too heavy for you to carry. If you ever watch a lot of our elders before we were younger go crazy, they didn't go crazy because their brain was damaged. They were good people. Their mistakes got too heavy. Being able to, when you have a problem in your life and you go through something, it's important to reflect on every problem you have. Okay, so remember we talked about this, I think, The Wolf and the Dog, we talked about fragility versus anti-fragility, right? The reason you got to be bold and strong to be good in business is not because you fight people. It's because you got to have enough strength to face yourself. So this is what I mean by enough strength to face yourself. Say something happens to your life, but it's painful. Instead you sitting, if you don't sit with it and like trace it back to try to see some causation in it, the causation could be something this small. But if you don't know that is a decision point for you, every time you have an opportunity to make that decision point, you will default or miss that opportunity because you never took time to take that problem from, okay, it's this big, now let's reverse it, let's reverse it, let's reverse it, let's reverse it. And to reverse it requires strength. This is why we did our retreat all these years, to help people walk in their trauma, to see, to help them tap into their governing beliefs and their deeper beliefs. But then as you tap into those beliefs, at some point you start to see a through point. You start to see these different small elements that play into it. Like I just planted a plum tree a few months ago, siding. I always wanted to have my own plum tree. By the way, it grows 4 different plums on one tree. Fucking amazing. But as you put the tree in the soil, that's the easy part. Then I had to coat the actual trunk of the tree and the branches. Now I have to get a proper balance of fertilizer. What you realize, to produce a single idea, there's multiple things that are happening. And if you have the ability to go through they call it post-mortem. What could we have done differently? What would we reverse if we were able to go the other way around? We actually gather so much insight and knowledge. I was saying to Shabisha, combine these two ideas. Knowledge is like Legos. You can sit in this class, get a whole bunch of Legos, but until you put that shit together, you get built nothing. That's the problem. Like this shit, my silence allows me to put these Legos together and go, oh, that's a different layout. Okay, that's another layout. Oh shit, that's another layout. I can learn every shit. I can be sitting on the same chair you're sitting in, listen to a person speak the same way I'm speaking. But until you take these ideas and play with them like Legos and put them together, you're just entertaining at the party. Might get you a little bit more sex. That's about it.
Oh my God.
Keep going. Next slide, right? Next slide. Okay, it's okay. It's a hard day. Go ahead. You say too many throat lozenges. Oh, Budweiser, too much Budweiser. I was like, what?
And I'm never called.
Like, whoa, Jesus Christ, did we just change this class? Oh, God. Anyway, go ahead. Oh, dear Jesus, how did we get there? Too much Budweiser, that's cold. Go ahead.
Multidisciplinary thinking.
This is important. This is so important. Go ahead.
Learning these mental models and applying them across our lives creates less stress and more freedom.
Pause. When you get this mental model game down and you become, okay, mental models, this is why the emotionals and mental model stuff has to be balanced off. Every time you let go applying a proper mental model to solve a problem, you're becoming a prisoner to a future you don't control. to a point your life can be so hijacked that it's almost depressing to wake up in the morning. At some point, you got to think, because you get stuck in routines. Is a two-sided coin. The other side of the coin is being stuck in routines that you don't control. Right? You wake up in the morning and you do the same thing over. You want to break it, but you can't because you got to survive. Right? But quite often, because we're not learning these mental models, we're being victimized by not following these models, and we're losing freedom every day. Not only to ourselves and our responsibilities, but from others as well. Any questions on that so far? Because we'll keep rolling. Okay, keep going.
The more we can draw on the diverse knowledge contained in these models, the more solutions will present themselves.
So the more you learn how to use these mental models that you're going to learn, and the diversity of those models, as well as, let me give you some other insight. Mental models are not just what you read in a book, but if somebody carries mental models around you, like the reason you want to surround yourself with groups of people that carry weight, so we can always balance the usage of mental models. Otherwise, you'll find yourself stuck in using a hammer to fix everything. So you need somebody to say, well, why don't you use a screwdriver? I used a drill before. Hey, last time I was right here, I used this tool. But you need a diverse group of people around you to balance these complexities of mental models, which we're going to get into in a minute. Next slide.
In order to see a problem for what it is, we must first break it down into its substantive parts so that the interconnections can reveal themselves.
Okay. That's how you build a business. That's another layer of how you build a business. If you look at Kaiser, if you look at Apple, look at Microsoft, as a chunk, as one piece, it's insurmountable. If you ever want to learn how to build something large, it's really a whole bunch of small things compounding together to become something that we later on state as being large. If you want to duplicate the same efforts, this is the process. Even if somebody puts something big in front of you, the reason often we can't get things done because we look at the whole task as one and we become overwhelmed and it's almost like somebody knocked us out. But if we say, okay, here's a big challenge, the only thing at this point you have to do is give yourself freedom of time. You'll say, okay, so if I break this down into pieces, can I have this kind of time? Yes. All of a sudden, the problem was a big-ass giant is down to a small molehill. You guys get that? So in order to see a problem for what it is, we must first break it down into substantive parts so the interconnections can reveal themselves. Also, when you break things down smaller, you will reveal things you didn't know existed. So, for example, when we worked on larger systems and larger problems, you can look at a problem and go, okay, it's this. You speak like, okay, for example, you might say, black people do this. But when you break it down to smaller particles, you'll see these hidden relationships. Why is that important? Because those hidden relationships is the energy that moves a product from the customer, from you to the customer, or from the customer back to you. Because once you understand those relationships, if you don't understand those relationships and you put a product in that community and you don't understand the interconnection of how people are connecting and talking, you're not doing marketing. Have you ever been around like a different culture and they offer you something like, we don't do that as black people, right? Because that's not our interconnection. Right, there's certain clothes I can give you right now that you probably wouldn't wear in your community because it doesn't fit your community interconnections. I'll make it even simpler. There's certain outfits you can't wear in your job because it doesn't fit the interconnection. So once you break things down to a smaller chunk, you start to see human behavior and how the stuff moves. But if you look at it large, you lose the context of the information and you miss so much in your analysis.
I have a question for you. So If I threw a company at you, Apple, and I said, based on your perspective,
He gonna jump right in the middle between the two. That's okay. Yeah, just right in the middle. Yeah, go ahead.
if I said, okay, based on the way that you think about it, how would you break that company down? I just pick on them because they're easy, they're so visible. What parts do you see? Because what I'm trying to get to is how you think about the breaks. Does that make sense what I'm asking?
Yeah. Well, okay. Apple's so huge. I think there would have to be a grace period for me to just study the company. And I would have to learn everything from frontline, which is the most powerful part of your business, to different causations of why different departments was created, to their functionality, and how does this all tie mathematically to the bottom line, the culture, the why. It's planned. It's so much you have to learn. It's not, but you see what I'm doing? I'm chunking. You see I'm putting all those in small chunks. But if you put them in small, if I just say I have to learn the whole company, I'll get stressed out. I'll start drinking. They're fine, man. They'd be like, Nana's an addict, and he just got the job. I don't know if what's happening. So by my ability to chunk it and realize that when I come in, also, I'm going to come in with curiosity to even identify those chunks. Right, as I define, because I don't know, maybe I'm not responsible for all that. Maybe I'm not sure what level of responsibility is there a board that's actually in charge? Like I don't know what that is. So curiosity, that's why I say I need a grace period to just go into full discovery mode. And in that discovery mode, it's almost like it's funny because if you ask me to take over Apple, the false notion of walking in knowing everything, it would be I probably would run mostly everything the first year from questions. But why? But why? What's the data for that? But why? And the reason I have to do that is because any of my assumptions are wrong. I don't know Apple. I know nothing about Apple. So my ability to piece it out and come up with a plan to chunk out what I'm going to do first, second, third, fourth, or if that changes or whatever, but to put it in chunks. Because if I was able to take all your knowledge and just turn it into like hard structure, your business probably can reach the sun. That's how much knowledge you have. But but at the door of entry, it feels like you only can take one thing at a time. That's how the brain works. But you're consuming so fast all the time at all times. You've accumulated so much knowledge. And so when somebody actually presents a large challenge in front of you, you become overwhelmed. That's emotional response. But your brain is totally capable of handling that responsibility. Also, you're not alone. There's nothing in business. I'm not alone. I automatically would look at processes and look at tools I can use to get myself to the system. But the key thing, another thing too, if you ever did that too, here's a big no-no. Never assume that anything you did in your previous accomplishments mean anything now. I'm literally, you remember I used to say when you climb to another level, you're at the bottom again? If I went to Apple, I'm at the bottom again. I'm not at the top. They gave me a title as CEO, I'm starting from the bottom. Because if I started acting like I'm at the top, I'm going to cause damage to the company.
You know, Elon Musk fired 80% of Twitter employees, and it's still running. So we was jumping up and down, going crazy, and he's lost his mind. And he fired 80% of Twitter employees, and Twitter still works when you click on it. So that's a great example of what you just said.
Jeez. Go ahead, keep going. We got a little more, right?
This bottom-up perspective allows us to expose what we believe to be the causal relationships and how they will govern the situation both now and in the future.
Wait. Did he say? She just said the bottom-up perspective allows us to expose what we believe to be the causal relationship and how they will govern the situation both now. Did I just say that without even reading that? Which was like I'm at the bottom of the game, and I have to look up into the solution, not looking from the top down. Once you start doing the top down, then your ego starts to dictate your decision making. Because you start thinking you know some shit. Like Apple has created a niche in the market. They're revolutionary. Don't come in there with some old, yeah, I've seen this before. East Oakland Barbershop. Go ahead.
Being able to accurately describe the full scope of a situation is the first step to understanding it.
Wow. What was it Einstein said? If you can't simplify something, you really don't know something. Okay, next slide.
Using the lenses of our mental models helps us illuminate these interconnections. The more lenses used on a given problem, the more of reality reveals itself. The more of reality we see, the more we understand. The more we understand, the more we know what to do.
Okay. This is because this shit's so interconnected. I got to take something from next week. Judge Joe Brown, you know, like I said, I agree with maybe 75% stuff he says. There's 25% like, oh, that's some old man shit, right? Or that's old black man with an attitude shit. But Judge Joe Brown is brilliant as fuck. Don't get it twisted. And you know what he said? Listen, this is so important, everybody. This is so fucking important. This has to do with positioning. He said, every time a feminist lawyer came into, like went against him when he was a lawyer, he's never lost a case. I want to sit with you before I explain to you why. He said, every time a feminist lawyer came to battle with him, he never lost a case. Come on, there gotta be somebody get feel like Me Too. You ain't got no Me Too blood in you. I felt something. Go take because I'm gonna explain in a minute.
Well, I'm questioning whether or not we're talking about male feminist or female feminist because there's two different mindsets behind both of them.
Both will apply to this concept where I'm about to go.
Okay, then that's my only question.
Yeah. So, but he's talking about women at the time. But it's gonna apply to black folks. It's gonna apply to gay folks. It's gonna apply to white folks. It's gonna apply to Asian folks. It's gonna apply to everybody. Who's where I'm about to go with this. But it's gonna apply to somebody who's overzealous about their particular position. Let me try this one more time. Every time he went up against a feminist, he whooped her ass. You know why he whooped her ass? This is his explanation. And this is a powerful ass strategy. And hear me out because it's powerful as hell. He said they were so busy trying to be right and wrong, they could not see the totality of the law and how to position themselves with the law.
Fatality.
Shakina.
I want to say this one time. He said they become so caught up in right and wrong, they can't see their position with the law. He went on to say they will walk in there and there'll be, he said, when he had to train, he goes, and don't get me wrong, this is his exact words. A lot of women are some of the best lawyers in the world. He said, but let me tell you how I trained the women who I had to mentor in law. He would give, you're the offense and you're the defense. And as soon as they got in front of him, he said, okay, do me a favor. You guys switch and I see you next week. And they would say, that's unfair. He said, no, it's not unfair. If you don't understand both sides of the law, then you don't even understand your side. I want you to hear how cold that shit is. Super pro black people, activists, social justice people, you see where I'm going when I say I hate it? Because it makes you strategically too much in right versus wrong. And when you oververse towards right and wrong, you lose your ability to see the bigger picture, which means you lose your positioning. He said, in addition to that, this is when you need to lose to win. But if you don't understand positioning, you just won and lost, and you just lost the bag. That's some cold shit. That's some cold shit. Hey, man. I just want y'all to see how cold this shit is, how It's not really about this business stuff. It's so many layers to how you have to see. I think simple thinking is no different than the folks I talked about in corporate America. You can't use 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and think that's going to get you somewhere. If you ever worked with a contractor who builds really big houses, they got tools you've never seen before. You work with somebody who just does something like build doll houses, you probably can identify every tool. Oh, that's a screwdriver, hammer, nail, or whatever it else is there. The bigger you get and the more complex the things you want to take on, I don't care what it is, you're going to have to get into like advanced. Some tools are just one-time only tools. But in order for you to play this game, it's not about, this game has no value on right and wrong. It has no value on being the most intelligent person. We talked about that last week. Kevin Allen told me that E40, every time you blow up, he'll give you a call and be like, yo, your Allen just blew up. How can I be down with you? And Kevin's like, God, that shit, he just feels so, he's just a vulture. I'm like, no, that motherfucker's brilliant. E40 is how long he's been in the game?
Michael Jackson used to do that too, actually.
Yeah, how long these motherfuckers been in the game? Like E40, look, E40 ain't trying to be number one. He's trying to make sure the bag keeps coming. So as long as I'm positioned all the time in entertainment with the right people, the right places, I'm in the right time, I'm always going to be relevant. Hey, I might just get speaking fees at BS places because you saw me with Jay-Z, you saw me with this person, he understands market positioning.
That boy is good.
That one got me. That got me. I wasn't prepared for that one. Oh, that was a good one. So positioning. This positioning game, I can't begin to tell you guys. A lot of black folks think that, okay, I'm going to give you a different angle on positioning. I'm going to stop because we got to go there next week. A lot of you guys think you're not intelligent because you've been poorly positioned. Redlining and community segregation made less money, less rewards for your brilliance. So a lot of times you walk around thinking you're not as intelligent as white people because you was always positioned to get less for more. Positioning. Meaning that you could change your positioning with that, which is you got to change your positioning where white people can define who you are. Did we finish that slide yet? Finish that one? Right? Yeah, we did. Okay, let's keep going. Next slide.
But the truth is, most problems are multi-dimensional.
That's triangular. Most problems are multidimensional. Let me be clear about this. Multidimensional. When you have a problem, you got to realize that problems are not A is a problem, B is a solution. A is a problem, C is a solution. There's multiple dimensions, and the longer you are in business or building something, you're adding dimensions every time you grow. Like he said, you have a small impact here. You think, oh, that's small. And the domino effect ends up fucking up something way over. You're like, how the fuck that happened? And so if you don't understand mental models and principles, you don't even know that at that point you need to make it's small. I'm talking about somebody might be like, hey, just brush your teeth tonight. You're like, fuck you, I'm tired. Like just like, I'm going to bed. But then when you find out, oh, to get that tooth removed is 2 G's.
Bruh.
Right? And on top of that, let's go to the next level where they got put in that shit, they put you to sleep because that nerve is just fucked up. And now you're in a coma.
Fatality.
So all of a sudden, just not brushing your teeth? Dog, really?
Bruh.
It's that small. And so I'm saying, like in business, just because you're not aware of the small shit don't mean the small shit ain't gonna win. And if you don't realize that in business, you got to go from micro to macro, macro to micro, and just keep bouncing up and down all the time. You got to look at different dimensions. You got to look at things historically, contextually. You got to understand myopia. You got to understand cultural differences. You got to understand geographical locations. You got to understand economic systems. You got to understand competition. You got to understand the customer evolution. You got to understand cultural diversity. You got to understand all this stuff and making a simple ass decision. And when you try to take one of those subjects, you're trying to simplify the problem. So the problem is not this. The problem is not the problem. The problem is your thinking. Keep going.
And thus, having more lenses often offers significant help with the problems we are facing.
You're full of biases. You need feedback. You need other lenses. You're not going to do what I just said by yourself. I can't do it. Do you know how much I realize I don't? How much I realize I don't know every day? It blows my mind. I don't bask in what I know. I bask in what I don't know. I'm like, fuck, I don't know a lot. Every day I'm going, fuck. There's so much shit you just can't know. Because your brain keeps telling you know, and you think you know, and if you talk to a good friend, you'll convince yourself you know, until you put your money on the table and it's time to bet, you realize you didn't know. Because you only bet $10. If you knew, why don't you bet some real money? But you're like, well, I am. I'm going to start off slow. You didn't know. The reality is that you need people to know. And as you build your organization, your business, that's why who you hire and who you collaborate with and who's your friends and everything, it fucking matters. Because it's just too many different things. So even if you know all the principles and models, they're not always accessible to you in the moment. You need your friends to be like, hey, what about Mashama is the king. He's my balance. Often I start off in a certain direction and Mashama will raise it to, shit, Scott is one of my balances. Scott knows hella mental models. I don't know. Wonder the fuck he loves so many fucking. So Scott, I may say, like, I was thinking about this, Scott. And he'd be like, hey, what you thinking about this? What about this? And you're like, oh, okay, good. That's good. That's a good addition. I have to speak to a group of people, contractors, about social media next week. And first I was in my head, okay, I gotta work on this, I gotta check this, I cover this, I can make it simple by doing this way. And you know what I did was, hey, Michelle, I'm working on some contractors next week. Hey, Danielle, I'm working on with some contractors next week. By the time they got through talking, I was, yeah, okay, here you go, that's what we do. They saw shit I couldn't see. Some of you guys are trying to go in and play hero. No, I don't play hero. Anytime I have a problem, if it causes me to sit down and think, it's coming out and I'm going to share it with somebody. If I find myself bouncing around, we have next week's class, right? I told him, I say, hey, Court, I had these ideas. Okay, Court, I'm going to lob them over to you. You roll the ideas out, remove whatever you think doesn't make sense, right? Next week class is a collaboration between the two of us because there's some things I can't see. Court, I need you to see the things I can't see. Right? Like we laugh about things we see differently, but as we laugh, I'm seeing value. I don't see difference. I say, damn, that's tight as value. You guys get where I'm going with this? So even when you learn these mental models, the way you translate to diversity and being able to maintain the diversity around these mental models is people. Next slide.
I'm still messed up behind the redlining and the way that it affects the way that we think about the value of the shit we create. Like got me good with that one.
Yeah, it's matter of fact, one of the comments, we were talking about R&B, how, our brothers and sisters from England snatching our shit up, white folks, and they killing it. They killing the R&B. Like there's some songs coming, there's some music coming out of England right now. You can just listen to the music and be like, God, this is some good ass shit. Man, who you telling? I listen to that shit, but we didn't see no value in it. Oh, that's old school. I don't fuck with that's daddy's old school. Because we can't see our own values because we're positioned wrong against ourselves. And that's why it's so important to think about positioning when raising kids, because we're raising our kids in a world that tells them they're no value to themselves. But anyway, go ahead.
When understanding is separated from reality, we lose our powers.
When you live in stories over being in reality, you have no power. When you live in stories over reality, meaning stories in your head, and you can't match them with the reality you're in, you lose your power. That's where power comes from. That's why it's okay. If you're ever around me, I'm always, let's keep it real. Let's get as real as we can. Let's get to the ground as hard as we can. It hurts. It's scary. It's not comfortable. It's easier to stay in our mind, But every time we move from a space in our mind, when you're at corporate America, a lot of times you're just working in the office off of beliefs, not reality. You don't even see the fucking customer. Kaja, that's a problem with Google, am I lying? Where a lot of people just work with each other. They never see customers. They never see the competitive side of, did we actually beat Bing this week? Now, there's some people do that, but most people don't. People at PG&E, East Bay Mud, City of Oakland, you don't really get a chance to see the customers. And so your mind, you get used to living in this make-believe world. And this is when the young man who called me and his wife, the young man graduated from Harvard Business School. He's not a dumb person. His wife is a high performer, has been a CEO of top nonprofits. They're not dumb people. They have no power because they disconnected from reality. That's it. That's what a dog is. A wolf is faced with reality. A dog is disconnected. So when you're moving through this world, which by the way, we're going to show you about how to gain your own interpersonal power next week. Like, what are some steps to get interpersonal power? Go ahead.
I just wanted to say that the point you just made around the gentleman from Harvard Business School, and that it's not that he's somehow deficient in some
Not at all.
ways, right? But that it's these other skills. It's why so many of us will go into institutions or be so disappointed with our 4-year degrees, be so disappointed with like our job trajectory, feeling like we did all of the things that were asked of us and we still don't see the outcome of that because we don't learn this in school. And you don't learn it at work either because their system, they don't need you to think like that. They need you to be the cog. Right? They need you to be the cog, which is not a bad thing because you're going to move on and they need to maintain their business. So they can't have a whole crew of like Avengers, right? The Avengers always leave. So they have to keep it simple enough where people can do it. But what gets missed is like this. And it's just, this is the part that's so dear to me because without this, you judge yourself. Or I judge myself, I'll speak for myself. I judge myself as like, what the fuck, what? I'm missing something. Because you're moving, but not as fast as you kind of feel like you could, but you can't put your finger on why that would be, so you just internalize it. Or I just internalized it like, And it's not that I wasn't moving. I just wasn't moving at the velocity that it felt like was available to me, but I didn't have this unlock. So, and it was in a space of a lot of opportunity. So this is fire.
No, it's okay. Everybody in this room is valuable as fuck. You guys' creation. You're valuable. But many of you guys don't know your value because you're measuring against something that's in your head, not the reality you exist in. Today I saw a man walking with a boy who was, what would they call that? What do they call it? What's the proper term for handicap, huh? Well, he had I couldn't really tell because he couldn't really move that well. His legs he had disability, but he had a lot of them, right? He's thinking and everything. His father had him at the stairs, and he barely can walk, and he was holding him up, helping him walk just one step, maybe it's like 8 stairs. He walked him up, walked him down, maybe 4 times, but would put him out the wheelchair, and he would hold on to I didn't know it was his father. And I walked downstairs, and I was like, that's the most beautiful shit ever. I didn't know it was his father. I thought it was just something like his help, like maybe he was at a program, and the program director or whatever was working with him. And I walked up to him, I said, man, I don't really have no other words, and I can't make it sound fancy, but your relationship to this child here is beyond beautiful. Because you're helping him, like, stay alive and maximize whatever that is. And he said, oh yeah, this is my middle son. And I thought, God, I said, looking at you two, this is what life's about. This is the beauty of life itself. This is to see how you're showing up. I was like, man, I salute you as a father. I salute you as a man. I salute him as he tries it and he pushes himself every time. I salute this whole scenario. And I don't really have no fancy words. I'm so overwhelmed with awe, and this is so damn beautiful. And I realized I got that feeling from being connected. Some of us could walk by that situation with a cell phone and not even see it because we're connected to the thought, an idea, a world in our head. We're missing all these beautiful moments that says, if you hear, you blessed. You hear, you blessed. If you hear, you got another chance. God gave you another opportunity. But some of y'all are so in your world, you depressed because the world you live in, you just can't live up to, and you're never going to be happy. That's it. Like this grounding, even the more you disconnect from grounding, the less you can see people too. When I went to Africa, the first rule I learned when I went to Africa, they said, when you go to somebody's house, ask them what the rules are. Because if you don't know the rules of that house and you break the rules of that house, don't be surprised if they don't fuck with you. So I walked in and I learned, okay, come in the house, take your shoes off, give the elder in the house a gift, greet them first, and then have a rank of how you talk to people. Do you know I had the best time of my life? I'm eating, drinking wine. By the way, don't drink palm wine. That shit will have you seeing yourself. My eyes started touching each other. But my experience came from me grounding myself and learn how do you guys do it? How do you guys survive? But let me tell you the other side of the story. This is losing their power. A lot of Americans go to Africa and get a different experience. You know why? They're in the head. They're in the world of the should be's. They go in there like, they say, oh, why y'all eat that? I don't like that. Well, in America, we do this. They doing comparisons and all this. And guess what the people do? They put a wall up. And the people are like, man, Ghana sucked. How'd you show up? It's just powerful. So when understanding is separated from reality, we lose our power. Not the world loses power. You lose your power. Black women, somebody asked me the other day, is men and women equal? I said, what do you mean? Are we equal? I said, yeah, we are. Not the same thing. Ask me to birth a baby. I'm gonna die before you ask me. I'm not gonna do it, right? You birth babies, but the main purpose of a man is give his life for a greater society. We have complementing, we're yin and yang. We complement each other like this. We're not, I don't do things. I remember one day, me and Shakira in LA and ZZ fell asleep. She said, baby, carry ZZ for 4 blocks. I got 3 doors. She said, babe, hey, I got the wrong muscles for this shit. This shit hurts. Right? Because she can carry ZZ from Oakland to Berkeley. I can't carry ZZ for 4 blocks, but I can push the car. We're built different. But it's a compliment in the people. Do you realize that 5 Team is here because black women have my back? They help me in areas I can't help myself, right? And there's certain things as a black man I got to do when I'm in the presence of a woman. I got to show up and support. But if I believe that there's no such thing as men and women, I'm not trying to teach this as politics. I understand how you feel. But like they said, if we go to war tomorrow, I need to know, can you carry this gun or not? Have you ever been in the wilderness with a man and a woman before? Just in the wilderness. I'm talking about like, if you ever get a chance, go to the wilderness. You see your differences show up. There's gifts you have I can't see, and there's gifts I have you can't show. A woman these women can sense. I'm like, how do you sense that? I don't know, I can. And there's some things men can do, you're like, oh shit, that's tight. We're perfectly equal. It's weird when we start saying, you need to be like me, I need to be like you. Or I can't tell you you're lesser than because you don't do what I do, or you tell me I'm lesser than because you don't do it. It's a silly ass conversation. We both get our power when we sit in who we are and we bask in that power and we let it come. Even if you gay, bask in that fucking power. I'm not trying to make no men and women only. I'm down with whatever the fuck, but bask in your power and find what your power is. It's when you start to lie to yourself and say, that's not my power. It's like, okay, you understand you losing your foundation. And that takes you back to what George Joe Brown was saying. When he said he battles the feminists, It's not an anti-feminist comment. It's they lose connection to reality because they're so caught up in this is right, this is wrong. You don't have no access to no context. Keep going.
Understanding must constantly be tested against reality and updated accordingly.
Tinkering. That's what tinkering is.
This isn't a box we can tick, a task with a definite beginning and end, but a continuous process.
One of my brothers, I ain't gonna tell you who they are. One of my brothers was arguing with me about buying something. And I told him it was a bad idea. You know what he said to me in the midst of the argument? You act like I don't know this already.
Bruh.
No, it doesn't work like that. You might be super knowledgeable here, but I might say, hey, you want to buy this car? And you might be like, oh yeah, what kind of car? How to negotiate? You're like, you're great because you bought cars before. I said, you want to buy this house? You suck. Meaning that you got to continuously grow this knowledge you're gaining. When you gain this new knowledge in class, you're like, oh, that's a nugget. It's a seed. It's not a tree. You can't benefit from it. It bears no fruits for you. Until you take that thought and start putting together like Legos, you have gotten nothing from us. You got to play with these ideas. You got to test these ideas. You got to see when these ideas don't work. None of these ideas work all the time. There's sometimes when some of these ideas just don't work. And you got to know when good is bad and bad is good. Right is wrong and wrong is right. You got to know that shit. And if you don't play with that shit, you'll walk around with a false. It's nothing worse than, okay, so there's a rule that says, this happens to a lot of entrepreneurs. When they're doing good, they can never imagine doing bad. And you ask them, well, what if I take away your business? Shit, I got shit, nothing for me. Yeah, shit. Take away the business, they crying like a bitch. Why are they crying like that? Because the simple fact that here's a problem with this. It's because human brain doesn't see we can't see who we are when we're at our worst. We think who we are at our best is going to be a similar compliment. It's going to be a compliment to who we are at our worst. Now I realize that's a different human being. So even these ideas, what Shakita was mentioning earlier, based upon your emotional state, you got to learn how to pull on these principles at different states. Even when I'm mad, I'm still listening to principles in my head. I'm still, okay, y'all want to share something y'all would never know about me? If I argue with you, I'm listening to you to figure out where I'm wrong. I'm not trying to figure out how can I beat your argument. I'm trying to figure out how am I wrong. You know why I do that? Because as long as I've been living, the best ideas have been wrong in my life. A lot of times. A lot of my best ideas have been wrong. You know why? Because they were my perspective. That's it. So even when I'm always trying to figure out where I'm wrong, I spend more of my time going, where am I wrong? Where am I wrong? What can I do better? What can I do better? And I even play with something, and let me tell you another discussion I stay away from. I was arguing with Kaja in court. Man, let me tell you what she said to me. She pissed me off. I'm mad at her. You know why I don't do that? Because I'm just digging deeper into my perspective. What I do is go, hey, court, if I do talk to court about it, hey, court, if somebody did this, what angle could they have? What could I be missing? Because why? I believe in positioning over right. And if I put myself in a position, if I focus on being right, I never see my position. But if I focus on my position, then sometimes I need to be wrong to get a better position. You guys get that? Does this make any sense to y'all? If I'm focused on being right, okay, let's say if I'm right with you, right? But me being right yields you no benefit. If anything, it traps you in a deeper hole. Maybe today I just need to be wrong. Or let's say I'm right for me, but wrong for you. Right? And if you buy into my right, it could destroy the system that you actually use to survive, and I'm not prepared to back up that system. There's so many layers to this shit, so complex, that playing right versus wrong is so binary and elementary, it underserves the real challenges that are in front of us. Go with this? Next one? Next one? Next slide? Okay. I'm trying to go through these because I'm trying to make sure we have enough, because next week is going to be real emotional. Go ahead. Oh, yeah, that's going to be real, bring your tissue, bring your favorite stuffed animal, whatever you're fucking do. Just I don't wear diapers. Anyway, go ahead.
You all know the person who has all the answers on how to improve your organization, or the friend who has the cure to world hunger. While pontificating with friends over a bottle of wine at dinner is fun, it won't help you improve.
Okay, stop. Y'all see how powerful that is? So you guys could come to this class and become the life of a party, and your life still sucks. You smart as fuck, but your life still sucks. You know all the books, but your life still sucks. You can show people a dictionary. Hey, look, you can show people your library, like, look, I've read all these books, and some of them are leather bound. But your life sucks. Keep going.
The only way you'll know the extent to which you understand reality is to put your ideas and understanding into action.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't test your ideas against the real world, keep contact with the earth, how can you be sure you understand?
The real world's gonna give you a heart. Okay. This is why I hate pop culture so much. Pop culture doesn't live in the real world. This is escapism culture. And if you get escapism friends around you, this is why, you ever met a music artist that said they next time they go into the studio, they're cutting all their friends loose? They didn't cut all their friends loose because they stole from them, because all their friends kept saying, that shit's tight. That shit gonna be tight. That shit gonna blow up. Court said this other day, somebody told him one day, this shit gonna be tight. He's like, don't say stupid shit like that. You don't know that. You can't possibly know something's gonna be tight until the market responds, right? So a lot of times you gotta have people around you that can say, you can come in and be like, yo, today I'm about to blow shit up. Party gonna be popping. This party gonna be fat. And your friend goes, you don't know that. I'm real fly. To you. My shit's the dopest shit ever. I think it sucks. I hate that friend. Because you're not grounded. See, if it's reversed that with me, I'm gonna have the dopest shit ever. I can know, and you go, no, how do you know that? You're like, I don't really know that. I just, I'm just hyped up. Which means I'm gonna manage everything to maximize my opportunities. If I say I'm the dopest cat, he'd be like, you're not really. I might even say, well, why you believe that? You say, well, because this. You're like, damn, I didn't see that. Let me fix that. And I might say, well, you know what? I've always been the best. He's like, compared to who? And I realized, oh shit, I'm looking at the wrong competition to build my business. But if you if you see all those comments as haters, you're moving so superficial, and when you lose all that money, don't blame the world. Don't say the world didn't pay attention. You're disconnected. Go ahead.
Yo, this just remind me when my mom's church, people will go to church 3 days a week, their whole life. Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday, every week, their whole life. You talking about, I did the math, like 50,000 times. 50,000.
I don't know what you come to do.
So it's like, and the thing is, you look at their life and it's still the same fucked up. So what are you doing? What are you listening for? Why are you even going? And it's like, it's the self-sealing logic. It's like we think in our brains, we this and that, or we think it's getting us this kind of value, but it just makes us good at parties. Gives us the language to talk to it, but we ain't doing shit with it.
We think we're trying to hack status by being the coolest person in the room, the smartest person in the room. But if that person ever gets hired, they can't build shit in the room. And you won't find out what you don't know. It's like practicing martial arts your whole life, but you've never been in competition. And the first time you walk in that ring and that motherfucker look ripped and they look just as fast as you, your brains will say, you know we ain't never took a hit before. You know we ain't never ducked that fast before. And intimidation alone is going to shut down your thinking alone. You may find yourself screaming, running around the aisle. I mean, screaming out, like just scream as loud as you can. Hitting those Sopranos, what's the name? Mariah Carey screams and shit. Right? Because then you're going to realize at that moment you don't know shit. But it's so easy to believe you do because your ego's a cold motherfucker. It would take the words that come out your mouth and says, yeah, I know that shit. Next, oh wait, sorry, somebody has a question? How do you make, somebody said, how do you make what you think you understand conscious to yourself? Tinker. 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 When you go build something, you'll find out what you really don't know. You read all the books you want. But when you go tinker, you're going to discover also too, find people who is in front of you. And when you find people who actually do what you want to do and you try to share, have you ever read something and try to talk to somebody who does it every day and realize how elementary you are, but to the people who don't know what you're talking about, you sound like a fucking genius? But as soon as you meet that person who performs, you sound like you're going A, B, C, D, E, F, G, right? But to your friends, he'd be like, oh my God, this cat sounds like he just came from Harvard. That's one of the best ways to kind of see through your bone bullshit. Next one.
Getting in our own way.
Uh-oh.
The biggest barrier to learning from contact with reality is ourselves.
Okay. Court, how do we teach the same shit? Because we know it's the same shit, right? That he just taught. The biggest barrier to learning from reality is ourselves. So we're contacting reality. We engage in people. We engage in things. We're building shit. We're out here in the field. We're tinkering, right? But we're still not learning shit. Why? Let's keep going.
It's hard to understand a system that we are part of because we have blind spots where we can't see what we aren't looking for and don't notice what we don't notice.
The hardest entrepreneur in the world is an entrepreneur who works by themselves. Because you're under the hypnosis of your ego. Let me say this again. The weakest entrepreneur amongst us is an entrepreneur by themselves. Because you're under the hypnosis of your ego. Your brain keeps telling you, I know what to do. Oh, yeah, I know what to do. Okay, then I know what to do here. Yep, I know what to do here. And you don't realize between your bias and what you don't know, you're probably working in a 90% failure rate. This is why you need feedback from other people, customers. Somebody told me, I was telling my staff, I was like, yo, we got to get as many feedback loops as we can because most of our students are online. I don't know if I'm serving them. If I don't know if I'm serving them, then the way I'm getting my own way is to let my ego tell me I know what the fuck I'm doing. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. And the faster you can say, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, and realize you start to build a system to protect you from your own biases and your own ignorance, you can kill this game. But we're not killing the game because we all want to be heroes. And when you want to be a hero, what you don't realize you're doing is you're moving through this game with this idea of, I can figure it out. You got to stop saying that shit. You got to start building a system to reinforce it because I can figure it out may have helped you survive and eat and have a job. It will not help you in a while very, very well. You can even do good for a season. Fuck y'all up. Stay with me. This is important. I'm gonna fuck your brain up. Taleb Nassim, one of my favorite people, because I love his philosophies. He said, if you're playing Russian roulette once a week, you have a slim chance to make it to the age of 50. But if thousands of people are playing Russian roulette once a week or once a month, some will get old. But you should see the size of that graveyard. That shit's so cold. Did y'all get that shit? I don't think y'all got that shit. That's cold. Meaning that you could be living in make-believe land for hella long, making hella mistakes, and you could be amongst thousands of people and find somebody online that says, I live the same make-believe world and I'm okay. But what you don't see is the thousands who fail from that same ass idea. That shit cold. This is the danger of the internet. Because you can find 1,000 people on the internet talking about we all survive playing Russian roulette. That shit is great. I'm old. This is success. And you'll say, no, you don't know what the fuck you talking about. That shit you talking about is too deep. I didn't know how people made it like that. A bad idea has ability to be successful in a very slim number. But now that we have social media, that number feels bigger because we could take 10,000 across the world and think that's a huge number. Forgetting the world's 8 billion. That's not even 1%. Oh, I love that. Next one.
Our failures to update from interacting with reality spring primarily from three things.
So this is saying that as you engage with reality, there's the failure to update reality. Your failure to have the ability to update your thinking springs from three things. Go for it.
Not having the right perspective or vantage point. Ego-induced denial.
Ego-induced denial. Go ahead.
And distance from the consequences of our decision.
I would even argue that's one of the coldest one, the distance from the consequences of your decision. Matter of fact, if you're in nonprofits or if you're in a corporation, this is why corporations make a lot of bad moves. They're distance from the decisions they make. This is the reason a lot of you can't make the right move because you don't have the courage to face the causation of your problems. You always shrug your shoulders, you move on. You go, okay, it was crazy, what will be, you just keep it moving. I don't have time to deal with my problems. And as you avoid addressing your problems, you distance yourself. So you don't learn from nothing. You can have 20 different things that happen to you that seem 20 different things that seem totally different, but they all have the same causation. And you can't see it because you don't have the bravery to sit with yourself. Come on, I know you ain't got no questions on that shit. Like this shit is cold. Keep going.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can we talk about distance for a second? Distance from the consequences of our decisions. So the way that I think about that is if you're in a large corporation, or even, probably more like a large corporation, you can be inaccurate, like based on like poor decision making. And there's a lot of things that will cover that up. So there's so many other things that are put in place that are going to make the company's not going to fall off a rail. Right, they've put things in place that they're not vulnerable to an employee making a poor decision. But outside of a corporation, what are other examples?
Yeah, mama who protects their child every time they fall. I'm talking about all through their life, and they get older and they're a weak ass man. Right? Somebody who lives in pop culture and fuck it, let's just be happy. I don't care. Whatever. Que sera, sera. A rich child who every time they made mistakes, somebody came to their aid. Somebody who's very, very pretty that every time they made mistakes, somebody was saying they're too cute, I can let them have that experience. Somebody who was subsidized by anything in life that disconnected them from reality. Somebody who had so much trauma in their life, they can't look at their life anymore because it hurts too much. Anything that distances you from yourself makes you vulnerable not to be able to learn from situations that happen around you every day. So your observation, okay, if you not feel like you're good enough, could put you in a position you distance yourself from yourself because you spend so much time trying to prove yourself, you forget who self is. So when something happens to self, the way that you analyze the measurement of what just happened to you is distorted because you don't see yourself because you're always trying to show up to whatever people want. You live your life so much disconnected from, you never even sat down and said, who am I? What do I want? What is my desires? Do you realize that's the most simplest question you will ever be asked, and very few of us ever ask? What do you want? What do you want? We don't even know how to sit with that. So because we've learned our whole life to disconnect. We're a ghost version of ourselves. So it happens in so many different places. I said that's one of the most powerful ones because there's so many layers that causes the human brain to disconnect from itself to survive. Because in the end, we never built up the courage, and it's not okay. I say don't build up the courage. It's not the strength of one that hasn't, because you have to build it. It's like if I'm bench pressing 400 pounds, I'm be like, well, you ain't as strong as me because you ain't never worked on the muscle yet. But if you show up at the gym every day, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the motherfucker who says, that bench press stuff, it's just too heavy. No weights. Right? That's who I'm talking about too. The person who just like, I don't want to push any friction in my life. Friction, bullies, quit. Like do you know bully helps you see yourself? I know that's crazy. When I was bullied, every time a new version of me was born. And it allowed me to see myself. It allowed me to see my fears. It allowed me to have a deeper conversation. But if somebody would have buffered all my situations from me, I don't know the fuck I am. My hard times made me me. My good times make me me. My shadows make me me. My acceptance of self makes me me. But once you start to disconnect, I don't want to accept myself. I should be this, and I'm not good enough, and trauma, and my parents, and society, and I got money now, so everybody don't tell me the truth no more. A lot of movie stars are going through this shit every day.
Even in our community, once you get to a certain level, or if you happen to be the one who makes more money in your family stops telling you stuff.
Oh, everything changes. Everything changes. So I'm trying to explain to you, like, you got to almost look for reality, because reality is no longer being dropped on your front step. They're not Amazoning you in reality no more. You won't have to go around the corner, go to Kohl's, and pick up your shit. Yeah, I know what the fuck I'm talking about. So keep going. Not having.
As we will learn in greater detail throughout the volumes on mental models, these can all get in the way. They make it easier to keep our existing and flawed beliefs than to update them accordingly. Let's briefly flesh these out.
Okay, real quick. We're going to see if we're going to run through these in 10 minutes and we'll be out of here. Okay, keep on. Okay, so let me go over this, the perspective model. The perspective model is one of the reasons we cannot learn from our own problems. So remember George Joe Brown said that because you're trying to be right and wrong, you can't see the law itself. It can also be said the perspective. What do you mean by perspective bias? Perspective bias is that you're bouncing a ball at the bottom of a boat, right? It's just bouncing the ball, right? But if a fish had X-ray glasses, they would realize the ball and you both are moving at a fast pace. You can't feel the speed of the boat, but the fish can feel it, see it from a different perspective. The guy on top who's looking at the land think, man, we're moving hella slow, right? But everybody has a different perspective, even though they're all factual. That goes back to the elephant concept. So a lot of times, because we only have one particular perspective, we're missing opportunities to see reality because we haven't developed liminal thinking. So this is really another way of saying liminal thinking. Next slide. The second flaw is ego. Read it. Go ahead, this one.
Many of us tend to have too much invested in our opinions of ourselves to see the world's feedback. The feedback we need to update our beliefs about reality.
So sometimes you believe so much in stories about yourself or things this is who I am, respect me who I am, this is what I feel, this is where I come from, I'm from Oakland, I represent this is what I stand for, this is what I've been through, this is how I see the world. You can't see reality no more. That's it. You cannot be, your ego makes you sensitive. You can't be sensitive. I don't know how to say it anyway. You can't. You gotta be able to say, if you're alive, you gotta say, I'm God's chosen child. I'm alive. Fuck what you heard. I can't be devalued. I'm alive. I'm God's chosen child. But everything you do now gets a grade. Everything. If I wake up tomorrow, I'm God. Talk to somebody who almost died. They'll tell you, man, some of the shit you've been talking about, it didn't fucking even matter. All I wanted was one more fucking day to live. But some of y'all made whether the orange juice bottle is full when you get home equal to you living another fucking day. You're going to have the same anger. If that orange juice that you brought home last night that was your special orange juice is drank by your cousin or your roommate, y'all about to go home and cuss that motherfucker out like he's about to shoot you. You've changed the balance of shit in your life, right? And the reason you're losing that fucking balance is because you're making yourself and your beliefs and your feelings and your ideas so sensitive. You can't fix shit no more. You can't learn nothing. You only can learn when you can bring that shit down, realize, yo, what really fucking matters in this world? Like when you really say what matters, like if you take down all the traditions, say as a human being, what fucking matters? You realize your ego puts a whole 25 layers on top of that. And all that shit carries the same amount of fucking weight. But when you realize that all that's your ego, you realize, oh, damn, these things matter? This is it? This is it, huh? Then why am I what the fuck? What the fuck does this means nothing. And to continue and so you gotta turn down this over investing in self, which we'll get into next week even deeper. If you over invest in self, you're blinded to reality. Next one.
First, we're so.
Oh, I read a couple of words, almost had the Holy Ghost. Try it again. Start with first.
First, we're so afraid about what others will say about us that we fail to put our ideas out there and subject them to criticism. This way, we can always be right. Second, if we do put our ideas out there and they are criticized, our ego steps in to protect us. We become invested in defending instead of upgrading our ideas.
So this is one of the areas I would tell you that Shekinah has a superpower. This is Shekinah's superpower. She comes to this class and she puts her ideas out there. You know what many of y'all won't do online, especially y'all at home? Y'all won't do this shit right here. And this is why you can't connect to reality. You got to protect you. You hear me? You go out your way to be right. Being right is not just an argument thing. It's not just walking in a room. And being right is you also practice right positioning. How do you position yourself to always look like you're right? You dress like you're right. You sit in the car like you have to buy a car that says, you know I'm right. I come to your house and this just looks like I'm just a right-making motherfucker. And if there's ever a situation where you have to be vulnerable to discover a higher version of you, do you understand the pain of finding out that you're not right when you worship being right? It's almost feeling like you said to yourself, I shouldn't be here. I'm no good. You make right so fucking important that you increase how often you're wrong. You guys understand how powerful that shit is? And it's not intentional. It's invisible positioning. It's like you wake up in the morning going, I gotta be right. Fuck all y'all. I'm right. What? My baby crying? I gave you milk earlier. I'm right. Ha. Like, that's not what you're doing, right? It's not that harsh, right?
Bruh.
It's a thing where if you're in the room, you will drift to every opportunity to show up. So even if people are speaking, you don't even believe in that shit. You just said that because that's the popular opinion in the room. You will even join ideas that you haven't thought out because it felt right. Matter of fact, you will be in an argument with somebody. Okay, this is powerful as fuck. This is where it gets kind of, this is business shit now. You in a debate with somebody and you find yourself focusing on right so much that you don't even look for the other dimensions. If the energy feels good, everybody's nodding their head. Okay, like say somebody has charisma. This is why charisma controls a room. So Court comes in, he has charisma, and he says something. It's like, oh, wow. Everybody's like this. Why are you speaking? Whatever he's going to say to challenge him, you're thinking, he might be right. Where if you're focusing on the goal at hand, I'm not saying you may let that moment go because you realize there's now a social emotional contagion and you speaking in that space, but doesn't mean that you don't leave that room going, nah, there's no variables there. It doesn't hold up. Or you'll do this thing where you run to 7 people like, hell, am I right? Yeah. 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 I'm saying 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Am I right? Yeah. Am I right? Yeah. right. Fuck it. Am I right? Yeah. And you go, yo, I'm right. Not realizing you just asked 8 people in a city of 450,000 people. The fuck does that mean? And those 8 people have to be people that hang out with you. Your gender or your preferences or your color, your race, your age. There's something in your category. Am I right? Yeah, that makes sense to me. But if you're not in love with that process of being right and position yourself always to be right, you can actually escape some of your poverty loops because poverty creates its own loop. Whatever money you're making and you've been making for a long time, it's not because of the outside world. Let me help you out. A lot of y'all want to outsource your problems to the world. The things that you're going through in your life is not because of the outside world. It's the micro decisions, it's small decision points you keep making that put you in a poverty loop. And often in that poverty loop, all your beliefs that keep you where you are. Go back to your old version of you. Don't analyze today, because some of y'all might be like, oh, I don't know about today. I'm great. Okay, go back to the old version of you. Can y'all remember going to a place you could hang out and everybody believing that same shit? And everybody thought that shit was real as fuck? And today, if you go back to that circle, you'd be like, nah, that shit's wrong as fuck. But at one point, that was you too. Guess what? You're doing it today too. And if you want to go somewhere else, if you say to yourself in your head, hell, I want to change. I just want to change. I want to change. Look for your loop. There's loops. There's simple, don't look for the thoughts like, fuck a motherfucker up, I shoot somebody, I don't give a fuck, I get high every Thursday night, I eat pork chips every chance I get, I drink me a Coke and a spread chips before I go to bed, and I don't give a fuck. I'm not saying those extreme things. Bruh. Look for those good things you like, those small things, like your whys. See if that's the whys that everybody else share. Look for the little small, the innocent things. If you go into a store, why do you buy that? Why not this? What's your TV show? What is your food? What do you like to read? How do you work out? Where do you go to work out? Who do you talk to? When you're really having a good time, what kind of jokes make you laugh? It's the small things. Because when you move out of that stage, those things become unattractive to you. You're like, I don't care for this shit. I don't care for this shit. If you took me to a Raiders tailgate party, I am bored to fuck. Oh my God. Now, if you'd have called me when I was in my early 20s, oh my God, that shit had been turned up. At this age, man, can we get a booth? Can I drive in with the players drive in? Can I come in? If I can't go in, I don't really want to go to that fucking game. I got to wait that long ass line, people bumping me. Drunk motherfuckers will be next to me. Man, you missed me. Why? I just changed. I evolved out of that. It's not good or bad. It's a different state. But it's the cost of where I wanted to go. I am now. There's other costs. So if you like hanging at tailgate football games and you decide you want to go here, you might say, damn, I remember the days I used to like those tailgates. I kind of miss those people. You'll go back one day and realize, I really don't miss them that much. Right? There's going to be a cost when you change. I mean, some of the things you love today, you're not going to love no more. Poverty loop is tied into like a lot of subtle beliefs that seem so innocent. Remember in the one podcast I gave you, the guy said, if you don't practice candor with the ones you love, you begin the process of separation. It's small as fuck. Candor means like, let's say, if Court did something I didn't really like, I'd be like, Court, I didn't really like what you did, bro. Right? But if I say, I ain't gonna tell Court. Just keep it to myself. My brain's gonna turn that into a judgment. Court always moves my motherfucking water. Every time I put it here, Court gonna put that. My friend don't even respect me no more. You know what, matter of fact, I bet you Court ain't, you know when it comes down to it, I bet you when I'm speaking, Court probably thinking, what the fuck he talking about? He's just sitting there with me talking. Your brain will start to loop into the weirdest story, disconnect from reality now, right? But if I say, hey, Court, hey, man, why'd you move the water? He said, oh, man, shit, I'm sorry, but I didn't know I moved the water. I thought it was my water half the time. My brain be fucked up, right? All of a sudden, I killed that weed from growing in my brain, and I protected our relationship. But every time I don't, now that's a small decision point. Think about that. That's a small ass decision point. But later on, I'll be like, why are you always fucking up? That's because a lot of small candor was never addressed. It's small shit is big shit, but we think small shit. It's almost like when you live in a life of crisis a lot, you think the big shit's the only shit you need to worry about because you know big shit means game over. But you don't realize big shit just keep coming. Like, God damn, can I get a fucking break? Damn. Because the small shit is being ignored. This shit is trying to position yourself to be right is a blind spot. Your ego, blind spot. What's the other one? In perspective. One more slide, because this part, because we gotta get out of here.
The third flaw is distance. The further we are from the results of our decisions, the easier it is to keep our current views rather than update them.
So go back to like, you disconnect from, let's say you create problems and somehow you make a disconnection. So when a penalty happens, you kind of blame, this is why you can't outsource. This is radical responsibility. This is the opposite side of radical responsibility. Let's say Kaja calls me problems in my life. And I say, Kaja, my life is fucked up because of you. She ain't right in this house. Shit, kitchen don't work because of you. Last week I asked you to do this, you didn't do that. Talked to you about this, you didn't do that shit. So my life's really fucked up because you just keep fucking up in my life. And Court, let me tell you something about Kaja, man. If she wasn't my roommate, my life be all right. But she always fucking my shit up. I'm distancing myself from my causations. If I say, this house is not clean, what did I do about this? What can I change about this? How did I impact this? I'm bringing myself in direct connection to my problems. That gives me the ability to use all my mental models and pull these beautiful ass tools and go to work because I see where I can fix, right? But every time I say the white man, straight people, Latinos, Asian hate, Me Too, gays, all that outsourcing disables me from controlling my own life. You got to start saying, and don't get me wrong, I get it when we're in casual conversation. But when it comes time to solve the problem, so I'm reading this book on the history of Oakland. There's been many great white people who have tried to help black people. Many great white people in Oakland. I'm talking about some amazing superhero white people. There was even a police chief that was Officer Chief Gaines back in the 70s. This motherfucker's like, he felt like he was born to last year. He was so progressive. It was his progressiveness don't even make sense for the 70s. He was so progressive, right? And you had even Gene Kwan try to rock with black people. Quiet as it's kept. People don't know that, but Gene Kwan did hella shit, right? There's hella people that got, but you know what? Why they couldn't get anything done? Because there's no incentive to help us. There's no incentive to help us. At the end of the day, our problems won't be solved until we solve them. It's not because there's not good. There's a lot of good white people out here. There's a lot of good every race out here. But the reason they can't solve our problems, because it's not their problems. They're incentivized to go take care of their kids eat in their house, take care of their families. Matter of fact, some of the most liberal ones did the most damage to us. At the end of the day, if you outsource your problems, you become distant to the problem. How in the fuck does Casma exist, black people? Not fuck white people. How does it exist, black people? If we had time to be at the festival, the concert, we could have volunteered at least a couple hours a year. All of a sudden, Casma is different. But we say, hey, why? And so when we keep outsourcing that, white people are causing our problem. This is a conversation that happens in our community. Let's just keep it 100. White people are causing this problem. When it comes time for us to build a solution, we can't, because guess what? We don't understand causations because we've been distant from the problem all this time because we keep outsourcing it to everybody else. The solution to all this shit is whatever's happening to you you don't like, what am I doing? As soon as I say you are causing the problem, I have no power. All you have is right. With that being said, Kaja, love the children, baby. Love the children. We love the children. We love the children. With that being said, y'all have a good night. Next week, we're going to have a dope. Don't you cut me off, Josh. I swear to God, I almost threw my. I don't know if you ever saw the. If you guys ever saw the Clark Sisters documentary, and the mama took her shoe off and threw it at the choir people, I want to do the same thing they did in the Clark. By the way, the Lifetime Clark Sisters. Next week, hey, everybody, you can have folks come in attendance. We'll have more food here. Let's show big for our new welcome family. We got a lot of powerful black folks joining the program. It's not these women are some heavy hitters. And we have some heavy hitters in here. So I want us to make that mixture, that connection. I am committed to, over time, making hope more about you connecting with your peers. Because like I said, isolation destroys you. I don't give a fuck who you are. I don't give a fuck. There's no person that can avoid the power of isolation. That's not a human being on this earth. Because our brain is not designed to know everything. It's not possible. So I'm going to work really, really hard on us meeting our peers, connecting with our peers, putting relationships with our peers so we can be a lot more powerful in what we're doing. So next week, make sure you all show up. Until then, everybody drive home safely. And as they say in Brooklyn, I'll see y'all in a minute.